We shall now have a moment of silence, meditation, and prayers. Thank you. We may be seated. Honourable members, you are welcome. Let me take this opportunity to amohela ka haro rona marena rona morena moholo mopedi le morena moholo mota ohle marena tsamaya le ona re a leboha boteng ba lona marena rona ba ke sa ba bonang speaker sa rona sa bangau le bohle ba tsamaya le bona re a leboha boteng ba lona I have the following apologies. Honourable Member Harekwe, Honourable Member Squabela, Honourable Member Leach, but you are here. Why do I have your apology and you are here?
Honourable Speaker, the date is for next week. So I think there's just perhaps a miscommunication with the dates, but it's only for from the 17th.
And Honourable Jankelson?
Honourable Jankelson, we did submit an apology. It's only for today.
It's only for today.
Yes, and Honourable Masiu is, unfortunately, he's quite ill, but we also did submit an apology for him.
We wish him a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
And Honourable Member Mukabela, whose leave of absence has been accepted here. Honourable Member Foko is also submitted the apology. The Secretary shall read motion 1.
That the second reading debate on the appropriation bill B4 of 2025 be continued. Vote 8, Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs.
The vote before the House is vote 8, Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Honourable MEC Ndate Mokoena may now address the House.
Honourable Speaker of the Free State Legislature, Ndate Dukwana, the Premier of the Free State Province, Melitswa Matai, Morene Moholo wa Batlokwa ba Mota, Morene Moholo wa Bakwena ba Mopedi, Marena. Fellow members of the Executive Council, honourable members of the Free State Legislature, the Chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders and members of your executive, our esteemed traditional leaders, executive mayors, speakers, chief whips and councillors, Chairperson of SALGA in the Free State and members of your executive, the HODs, CEOs of government entities, senior managers across all spheres of government, representatives of Chapter 9 institutions, leadership of organized labor, stakeholders and partners in local government, members of the media, distinguished guests, Chabasa Freistata, Bomelo Bantategal Dumedis. Speaker, as part of the Cooperative budget vote speech, I hereby wish to table the department's final budget allocation, which amounts to 447.9 million for the 25-26 financial year, which is a 7% increase from the 24-25 financial year allocation. In terms of the program split, Speaker, Program 1 Administration receives 182.1 million. Program 2 in terms of local governance receives 113.6 million. Program 3 Development and Planning receives 72.6 million. Program 4 Traditional Institutional Management receives 64.09 million. And then House of Traditional Leaders, which is Program 5, receives 15.4 million. Speaker, in terms of the allocation, Speaker, we've got transfers and subsidies, which amounts to 12.2 million, out of which 2.1 goes to non-profit institutions, municipalities taking the remainder, where Harib will get 4.3. Household in terms of leave gratuity amounts to 662,000, with capital asset at 6.5 million, of which goes to the palaces for Marena. In terms of earmarked funding, Speaker, we've got 2.5 million that goes to water laboratory fund, which support municipalities in the maintenance of water treatment laboratories, municipal support program at 20 million, municipal interventions in terms of 139 receiving 4.9 million, disaster fund receiving 10 million to help with the mitigation of disasters, the Cleaner City competition 5 million, and like I said, palaces for Marena 5 million, which will be 15 million over the MTF. Honorable Speaker, we present this budget vote at the point where local government in the province is faced with many significant challenges, but also have glimpses of hope, good work, and or turnaround in terms of service delivery. The province has been affected for over the years by challenges of maladministration, disregard for the law or due process, and the general neglect that led to the decay of public infrastructure. These years of capture have led to collapse of strategic infrastructure, where sewer running the streets and water shedding is now a common sight in many municipalities. The political and administrative instability also led to the exodus of critical skills, as most skilled left these institutions, with finance and technical capacity being the hardest hit. The persisting low economic growth trajectory, compounded by the global and unstable geopolitical tensions, is not helpful to our stabilization efforts. The impact of low economic growth activity has a direct bearing on the employment levels and henceforth citizens' ability to pay for services consumed. The low revenue collection, which we see is a result of economic hardships and other related challenges. The unupdated municipal indigency registers are not helpful in remedying the situation for those who can't pay. The above two major challenges are a serious challenge for the municipalities that are not able to enable them to perform their functions. Speaker, there's no denying of a positive relationship between good audit outcomes and effective service delivery. The recent AG report has been damning against some of the municipalities in the Free State, where persistent stagnation with continued negative outcome needing more attention than ever before. Key to persisting challenges remains the municipal finance section capacity, which has got a high usage of consultants, non-compliance with procurement and contract management legislation, underspending of conditional grants, wasteful and irregular expenditures, and the financial losses. As part of the response efforts, and few months into the 7th administration, COCTA, and on behalf of the Free State government, convened a local government summit which focused on the top 5 challenges facing municipalities in the province. The summit, as convened, adopted a turnaround action plan on all key challenges identified. And as per the resolution of that summit, the EXCO has adopted the resolution of the action plan, and all municipalities are expected to table, adopt, and implement these resolutions. Guided by Amilcar Cabral, in what he said 60 years ago, addressing the communist part of Guinea-Bissau, I quote, "Always bear in mind that the people are not fighting for ideas. The people are not fighting for ideas, for things in anyone's head. They are fighting to win material benefits, to live better and in peace, to see their lives go forward, to guarantee the future of their children," close quote. Today, and as we undertake the task to stabilize local government, we heed the call of Cabral and choose to be frank about the issues we believe are tangible and matter most to our people, including the daily lived experience. We make connection to the past to strengthen efforts to correct and build a stable and capable municipalities led by capable and accountable elected and appointed officials. Sorry. We are working with municipalities to resolve problems, and despite some challenges, we are beginning to see improved responsiveness and signs of recovery in some municipalities. Speaker, without undermining the significant challenges that Maluti Apofung is facing, the municipality is now showing signs of recovery in terms of service delivery and stability. We are now seeing improved water supply and more stable electricity supply. The maintenance of roads, parks, etc. is now stabilizing. Mangaung is also becoming clean again. Sewer leakages have stabilized with work starting on road maintenance. Coordinating with the provincial government, municipalities the municipalities are now rebuilding road infrastructure, whose work is currently underway in several towns where township roads are being rebuilt. The MIG spending is now published monthly for efficiency in infrastructure drive. Strengthened oversight and support, coupled with interventionist approach in municipalities like Nala, Mafube, Ketwani, Machabeng, and Mokare, should bear results soon. In the previous budget vote, we unequivocally declared that the period of unresponsive government is over, as we seek to build more responsive and people-centered developmental government. Having appreciated the link between quality senior managers and service delivery, we stated previously that the times of municipalities led by unqualified and incompetent people is over. Part of our effort is to build capacity and professionalize local government. We need to attract people with requisite skills and make local government an employee of choice. We need to attract young professionals to come, work at local government, build efficiency, and preserve institutional memory. For municipalities heeding this call, recovery signs are beginning to show, and those reluctant will be forced to comply even if it means taking the legal route. As a department, we seek to strengthen intersectoral cooperation and coordinate all spheres of government that contribute to an effective cooperative governance. Together with our traditional leaders, we aim to entrench a participatory government that is based on the will of the people. As we table this budget vote today, we reaffirm our commitment to disrupt the status quo where a laissez-faire approach to provision of basic services is normalized. We take the opportunity presented by this budget vote to recommit ourselves to spare no efforts to ensure that our municipalities provide basic services to the people of the Free State. Nonetheless, the state of our municipalities, of some of our municipalities, remain concerning. We must be the first ones to concede that the state of some of our municipalities is far from ideal. In the last assessment of the state of local government, as done in 2021, came out with less than pleasing observations that 12 of the 23 municipalities in the Free State are in a state of dysfunction. The observation was an outcome of assessment of municipalities based on the 5 strategic pillars, which are political stability and governance, sound administration, provision of services, sound financial administration, local economic development. Based on these pillars, 12 of the 23 were deemed dysfunctional. I hear that municipalities don't like to be identified as dysfunctional and would rather we use a cozy term like distressed municipalities. We believe, Honorable Speaker, that we should call things as they are. We can't call a spade a garden tool. A spade is a spade. Dysfunctional is dysfunctional. As the department, we have developed what we call the Municipal Support Improvement Plan. The plan is based on the mission of our existence, which is to support, monitor, and intervene in the affairs of the municipalities. Section 154 of the Constitution places the obligation on the national and provincial governments to support and strengthen the capacity of municipalities. This includes providing legislative and other measures to enable municipalities to manage their affairs, exercise their powers, and fulfill their functions effectively. Based on the prescripts of the Act, we are called upon to build a capacity and provide support to municipalities. This implies that as COCTA, we have an obligation of identifying challenges in municipalities even before they become a crisis, provide consistent support to our municipalities and ensure that they are capacitated to fill their obligations. Section 155 of the Constitution obliges us to monitor the performance of municipalities. This obligation is not just a nice to have, but a fundamental instrument for monitoring provision of basic services to our people. To this end, the Municipal System Act provides a clear directive to the MEC of local government to set up monitoring mechanism for municipalities. The Act provides that the MEC for local government in each province establish mechanism to monitor municipalities, assess their capacity, and support their development in managing their affairs and exercising their powers. Based on this, it is not a choice or favor. We are called upon to monitor the performance of municipalities. Failure to do so will not only be irresponsible from our side, but might also prove us to be constitutional delinquents, a status we are not ready to assume. We are in the process of developing a notice of compliance, which is going to be a directive to municipalities to direct them to improve their performance based on the assessment of their state. Speaker, the Constitution also directs us in Section 139 to intervene where municipalities are failing to perform their legislative or executive functions, as enshrined in Section 152 of the same Constitution. Through MSIPs, we intend to turn around performance of municipalities, and this will be monitored consistently. The department is setting up a system that will pay undivided attention on improvement of performance of municipalities. Through this work, we will set up early warning mechanisms to assist us in identifying warning signs and proactively intervene and address issues of concern. We do not do this for optics, but also because Cabinet is demanding of us to report on mechanisms to improve the performance of our municipalities. By definition, a stable municipality is one which effectively and efficiently performs its constitutional, policy, legislative, and regulatory prescripts. The key indicators that illustrate a stable municipality are the following: political and administrative stability, effective community and stakeholder relations and communication, responsive and essential basic services provision, good financial management with key indicators within the sector norms and standards, and unqualified or clean audits. The department undertook various measures and shall continue to ensure that municipalities are supported and capacitated to implement the prescripts that enjoins a professional and capable local government. As a sector, we can agree on legislative measures put in place to ensure achievement of a developmental local government. These prescripts remain tested, which also illustrates a case of open democratic dispensation. This budget vote is presented after the Constitutional Court made a pronouncement on the matter of allowing employees of the municipality to be office bearers of political parties. The department remained resolute to the principle of trias politica, and we respect the independence of the judiciary. We shall put measures in place for proper implementation of the decision of the apex court in the country. As the department will continue to assist municipalities in the process of recruiting best candidates to provide services to our people, and we intend to address the process of granting concurrence in the appointment of senior managers to municipalities. The department aims to assist municipalities to manage the recruitment process of senior managers to ensure adherence to applicable legislation. We would like to assist municipalities to move away from the tendency of having officials acting on their positions over a prolonged period, which can unintendedly have undesired either legal or financial implications. This will assist municipalities to function seamlessly and effectively. Speaker, one of the challenges that faces the department is the need to assist municipalities to manage their finances better. The AG's report is painting a painful picture of a state of local government where none of our municipalities has received a clean audit for the past financial years. Submission of the AFS have improved in the last financial year, where we saw all 4 district municipalities and 14 local municipalities submitting their AFS to AG by the 31st of August 2024. The 4 remaining municipalities have subsequently submitted their AFS, and the process of audit is in progress. Most municipalities sustain their previous audit opinions during the 23-24 MFMA audit period. 6 received unqualified audit opinions, 10 received qualified audit opinions, with 2 receiving disclaimers. As part of our efforts to improve audit outcomes of municipalities, the department has gone into partnership with the Provincial Treasury and SALGA to develop their district audit action plan forums, where follow-up on performance of municipalities was done. The forum was convened during June 24 and January 25. We hope to continue fostering partnership with stakeholders to improve audit performance of municipalities. One of the biggest challenges facing our municipalities is the debt that municipality owes to third parties and subsequent litigations that follows. As of 31st January 25, municipalities in the Free State owed ESCOM 24.4 billion and owed water boards and the Department of Water and Sanitation 3.6 billion. The municipalities owe the debt of municipalities to pension funds by 31st January 25 was at 531 million, and the debt owed to medical aids was around 444 million. On the other hand, municipalities are battling huge amounts owed to them by their debtors. As of 31st January 2025, consumers owed municipalities a combined debt of 30.6 billion, with organs of state owing 2.4 billion, commercial consumers jointly owing municipalities 3.9 billion. Let me repeat, commercial consumers jointly owing municipalities 3.9 billion. Whilst the biggest debtors from municipalities are households that owes 23.5 billion. The collection rate for all municipalities for January 25 stood at 56%, which is a slight improvement from 51% a year earlier. The department has identified the following municipalities for data management revenue project as a mechanism to improve their collection: Kopano, Mafube, Maluti, as well as Mantsopa. This project will help municipalities to manage their revenue through digital means, and as it is expected to improve their collection capacity. One of the problems that the department faces is the municipalities adopting unfunded budgets in the previous financial year. Only 4 district municipalities plus Tswelopele, Setsoto, and Metsimaholo adopted funded budgets for the 24-25 financial year. 15 municipalities adopted unfunded budgets and have submitted budget funding plans. Speaker, we intend to address the scourge of unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure in municipalities. As in the previous financial year, the UIF and W at municipalities stood at 29.1 billion, which is extremely unacceptable. The unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure stood at 29.9 billion. In an effort to address the issue of financial accountability in municipalities, the department, in collaboration with the Provincial Treasury and SALGA, have engaged in a program to train municipal public accounts committees. In the past financial year, MPECs in 12 municipalities were taken through the training. The MPECs Chairpersons Forum was also established. The forum is meant to encourage peer review mechanism and benchmarking amongst MPECs. Municipalities continue to perform poorly in terms of conditional grants. The National Treasury has no choice but to deduct such amounts from equitable share allocation of such municipalities. For the financial year 23-24, 184.9 million was underspent by municipalities in the province, and this is once again unacceptable. The department will use the Chief Directorate of Municipal Planning and Development to assist municipalities to improve their grant expenditure. The country is slowly but surely entering the election season, and we must begin to prepare for the next local government elections. Effective democratic participation is highly dependent on the functionality of our municipalities. Voter turnout at previous elections is painting a worrisome picture of a downward spiral, and that does not augur well for a developmental state we seek to build. The department, working with the districts and local municipalities, has included civic education as one of their priorities for communities to play a meaningful role in the democratic state. We will be partnering and strengthening our collaboration with Chapter 9 institutions to accelerate the program of voter and civic education. The department encourages public participation in the determination of the municipal boundaries. As part of ongoing efforts to strengthen local government again and improve service delivery, significant changes to municipal boundaries have taken shape in the province. A new municipality will be established in the Clarib district, comprising of 4 towns that are currently under Kopanon local municipality. These towns are Forest Smith, Jagersfontein, Rittersburg, and Edenburg. Additionally, Pirituna, Hellbron, and the surrounding farming communities will be moved from Mwate local municipality to be incorporated in Metsimaholo. These changes will come into effect on the next local government elections. The department has already begun implementing transitional measures, which include consultations with affected municipalities. Furthermore, there are 2 applications from the Free State that are still under consideration of the Municipal Demarcation Board. The first seeks to establish a new municipality by separating Greater Harrismith from the Maluti Apofun local municipality. The second proposes the creation of another new municipality comprising of towns of Diversdorp, Wepener, Van Stad, and Zastron. In this regard, the department has formally submitted its view that any decision on these 2 proposed new municipalities must be informed by a comprehensive capacity assessment report. As provided for in Section 85(4) of the Municipal Demarcation Act of 98, this report is essential to ensure that the proposed municipalities will be viable, sustainable, and capable of delivering on their developmental mandate. Speaker, as part of our preparations for successful local government elections, we are developing an integrated plan with support packages for municipalities. This support package will serve pre, during, and post-elections and will ensure a seamless transition to the next administration of local government. The implementation of the spatial development frameworks is an ongoing process and shall continue as long as spatial imbalances continue to exist. We have to ensure that we draft and implement spatial development frameworks that should bridge the spatial gap between the rich and the poor, improve access to amenities and employment, reverse apartheid settlement patterns, and enhance the quality of lives. In this financial year, we shall be continuing with the implementation of the following SDFs of Mokare, Pumelela, and Zolepile, whilst also providing support for the drafting of the SDF of Maluti. The municipal planning tribunals are a very important cog in the development process, and the absence of functional MPTs in municipalities can discourage investor confidence, can deny municipalities economic development opportunities, and lead to lack of planned economic growth that affect job creations in a negative way. In terms of IDPs, legally compliant and credible IDPs must comply with relevant legislation and convey, amongst others, a resilient, responsive, and be sincere. The provincial government, sincere provincial government that cares about these people, and the environment. To date, 23 Free State municipalities, including the Metro, have heeded the call and adhered to all the prescribed various pieces of legislation that governs and regulate IDPs' timeframes by tabling and adopting their respective final IDPs for 24-25 financial year. The department trusts that municipalities will successfully translate the adopted final IDPs into action plan and change the lives of their ordinary community members in their municipal area. The department successfully coordinated, conducted, and facilitated draft IDP assessment sessions, and subsequently assessment reports were generated and shared with all municipalities to consider comments and inputs made during the draft IDP assessment sessions. It should be noted that during the 24-25 financial year, 23 municipalities across the province reviewed legally compliant and credible IDP documents through the support of the department. Pursuant of the objective of achieving legally compliant and credible IDPs, the department will support and monitor all 23 to review legally compliant and credible IDPs that are also responsive to women, youth, and persons with disabilities. During the 25-26 financial year, the department will assist municipalities with the new and finalization of their LED strategies, with the focus being on Clarib, District Municipality, Kopanon, Tukuluho, Tsolepele, Machabeng, Thabo Mofutsanyane, Nketwane, Sotho, Dihlabeng, Fezile Dabi, District Municipality, Mafube, Mukhaka, and Nwate. The aim of LED strategy is to ensure that municipalities create enabling environment that will ensure local economic growth. We will continue to support LED-related initiatives such as the Free State Partnership Steering Committee, revitalization of mining towns, as well as the small town regeneration programs of SALGA. Speaker, over the past 2 years, township spaza shop have drawn the attention of the country as there were reported cases of food-borne illnesses. The prevalence of illicit and non-compliant food represent a significant threat to the health, safety and security of the community at large. Effective intervention measures were outlined, including those that are related to the local government sector. Municipalities are expected to register businesses within the legally stipulated timeframes and ensure that there's an adoption of township economic bylaws. Out of the 19 municipalities, only 14 did not adopt the township economics bylaws, which is Mangawu, Machabeng, Mwate, and Nketwana. To date, the Free State has received 9,336 business licensing applications, out of which 4,568 are from foreign nationals. To date, we have issued 705 certificates of acceptance, and of 1,721 total applications approved, 526 are of foreign nationals. In terms of disaster, Speaker, I've already indicated that we're setting aside 10 million, which is to help in the mitigation of the disaster funding in the province, since the province, particularly the south and the eastern parts of the province, are more prone to frequent disasters similar to what we see in the coastal provinces. In terms of the department will prioritize the development of scientific and evidence-based disaster management plans at level 2 and 3 that align with the integrated IDPs. We do activate JOG during emergency events to ensure coordinated multi-sectoral emergencies response, swift deployment, and coordinate resources of municipalities, district, provincial, as well as national government towards a much more comprehensive effort. And we wish to pass our condolences to the province of Eastern Cape that has seen the loss of life during the last adverse weather conditions in the last few days. We raised the importance, Speaker, of the importance of a public that is educated, that is quite aware about the risks that are posed by disaster due to the climatic changing conditions that we see in the province. In terms of the MIG, we raised, Speaker, that it has contributed towards municipal service delivery in the province, where in 2024-25, municipalities who are responsible for the implementation of municipal infrastructure were allocated an amount of 875 million rand, of which an amount of 666 million rand was spent by 31 March 2025, which represents 78% from the total allocation. That a further 19 million rand was approved for 23-24 rollover, of which 10 of that total was spent by 31 March. This will deal with areas of water, sanitation, roads and stormwater, sport and recreation, project management, high mast lights, etc. Honorable Speaker, the program of free basic services is aimed at ensuring that indigenous households have free basic access in the province in terms of water, refuse removal, sanitation, and electricity. All municipalities in the province have indigent policies that are reviewed on an annual basis. At the end of the 24-25 financial year, municipalities in the province were providing basic services to qualifying households through the indigent policies. Currently, the province has got 168,834 registered indigent households in the province. In the 25-26 financial year, the department will support municipalities to align their indigent policies to the national guidelines and ensure that indigent policies are credible. The department will also monitor and work with municipalities to update their indigent registers. The national department has recently launched the review of white paper in local government. The province will be embarking on a consultative process to ensure that our municipalities and sector partners give full and effective review of the white paper on local government. Amongst others, trainings and workshops will be conducted to ensure a full implementation of the review plan and consolidate the Free State input. We have intervened in Nala, Speaker, and invoked Section 139, which is underway as we speak. Over and above successive shutdowns and service delivery halted, The municipality was affected by numerous challenges, including dualism at the leadership level, both administrative and political, that simply compounded the ability of the municipality to operate and deliver services. We are happy that the team that we have deployed to the municipality is beginning to realize program. We have managed to unfreeze the bank account, ensure that salaries are paid, and service delivery to our people resumes. We are working with the municipality of Mafubi and Nketwane to deal with the serious challenges that are facing those two municipalities, and we'll be going back there in the next coming weeks. In terms of the Traditional Affairs Speaker, I wish to commend all the senior and deputy traditional leaders who convened community meetings, the PITSO, wherein community members were afforded an opportunity to nominate their preferred candidates who are going to stand for elections in the recent reconstituted traditional councils. Speaker, we also extend our gratitude to the Office of the Chief Magistrate, who availed Magistrate Cornelius Mokhobo, who officiated administering of oath for all those who were elected into the traditional councils. Speaker, since Barolombosilika Traditional Council has since been reconstituted, we will in 25-26 financial established the Mangaung Local House of Traditional Leaders, whose primary role is inter alia to advise Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality on matters pertaining to customary law, customs, traditional leadership, and customary initiation. Guided also by our firm belief in the importance of traditional leadership in our province, and having noted the recent developments in relation to Borolombo's legal leadership issues, Speaker, we can confirm that the Free State government remains committed to facilitating a long-lasting solution in the Borolombo's legal traditional leadership succession challenges and any other possible dispute. In terms of customary initiation, Speaker, we are happy that as a province, we are part of the national awareness campaign that is launched by the minister, which is driven by the theme of Mabaya Bapela, Babuya Bapela, which in Sesotho, Abatsamaya Bapeli, Bahutle Bapela, which our campaign is led by Khosin Khahle, who is the chairperson of the PICC in the province. This is necessary to mitigate the number of deaths that we have seen, where the Free State will have seen number of fatalities arising from both the registered as well as the unregistered initiation schools. We really urge parents as well as initiates that the pre-screening process, including the verification of the standing of the initiation schools before sending their kids or the initiates, is quite important, as it will help us to preserve their life. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank all stakeholders for the role they have played in the efforts to change the face and performance of local government in the province. The HOD, the senior management and employees of the department for their daily effort in executing the task at hand. The work in front of us is very demanding and critical to changing the lived experiences of the people of Free State. This task requires selflessness and dedication to service the people of the province. The Premier and the entire EXCO, thank you for the continued support. The family, thank you for understanding the time spent away from family, and it's all in the service of our people. Finally, the team in the MEC's office, as led by the head of office, remains critical to the work that we do and coordinate between the department and our office. Like I said, Speaker, I table before you budget vote 8 in terms of local government in the province, whose figures we've already presented at the beginning of our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Khobane.
Honorable Speaker, ke boke dikgomo ho marena maholo a sehloho, morena Mopedi le morena Mmota. Marena dibaka ka ho fapana, lead van die wetgewer, baetapele ba di masepala, belangrike gaste. The Speaker, Mao Zedong once remarked that if we have shortcomings, we are not afraid to have them pointed out and criticized because we serve the people. Anyone, no matter who, may point out our shortcomings. If he's right, we'll correct them. If what he proposes will benefit the people, we'll act upon it. If in the interest of the people we persist in doing what is right and correct what is wrong, our ranks will surely thrive. This is the guiding compass to deal with our challenges. We have to commend the department for acknowledging the shortcomings where they exist and develop a way of dealing with them. Speaker, the evolution of the history of South Africa has been premised on an equal development of communities according to race. That the underdevelopment of black communities ran parallel to the period of economic boom of the country, meaning that the fruits of economic boom were enjoyed by the white community at the expense of the black community. The mineral industry accounted to much of the performance of the country's growth. A place like Welkom was literally established by the mining industry, which kept many Africans in hostels, in line with the Migrant Labor System and Group Areas Act. Major infrastructure development was geared towards white communities, while black communities had to be afforded substandard municipal services. According to Nicole Natras, an economist from the University of Cape Town, between the early 1930s and early 1970s, the South African economy grew up approximately tenfold in real terms, and the GDP per capita rose steadily. In fact, it tripled. The advent of the democratic system opened up for all South Africans to reside where they choose. Speaker, this system of partial development brought about two societies, one developed to a level of the first world, and the other so underdeveloped like the third world. So the system of apartheid created two nations in one country. The resources to provide infrastructure were limited. At the time, the democratic government took over. This was compounded by the low economic growth that could not create jobs. By 1985, the apartheid debt had accumulated to a level where the whole world and financial institutions could not agree to finance apartheid any longer. So the democratic government had to inherit that debt and manage the resources in a way that as they provide services for the communities that were not previously given the services, also must service that apartheid debt. When people who used to be kept in hostels were now released to be able to find homes, South African government had to find a way of finding land and housing for those communities. That democratic dispensation freed farm workers and farm dwellers who were imprisoned in farms and were not allowed to find residence in towns. Now that they were able to move freely and reside wherever they were, it was the burden of the democratic government to ensure that they find space and they provide infrastructure for that community. So this means that the fiscus had to include the previously excluded more than 70% of the population, to the extent that infrastructure so hugely took away resources from maintenance of the old. We welcome the department's effort to focus on providing a maintenance to that old infrastructure. Apartheid government allowed mining industry to mercilessly and without plan extract minerals and export them as raw materials without processing. For the mining industry to be able to have some influence in politics of the country. They played a role in establishing a liberal party called the Democratic Alliance, from the old United Party and Progressive Party to the now DA. South Africa's gold mining industry has seen significant decline over the past few decades, dropping by over 80% in the past 35 years. This decline attributed to factors like exhaustion of easily accessible reserves, rising political costs, operational costs and challenges.
Can you have a seat, please? Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe just for clarity, I think the honourable member is on the wrong topic. We are now on COCTA. He's on economic development. I think you can't preempt the debate. I can't understand what the topic is he's talking about now.
Well, what is your problem? What are you raising?
I'm saying we're talking about COCTA. I mean, we're on economic development and mining and things that we're talking about. This is not the topic, the debate that we are currently on, Speaker.
There is context in everything. And I thought that you were raising an issue, but you need also to understand the debate cannot be just limited to that. Local government has economic development that it must attend to, as Section 152 of the Constitution provides 5 pillars of the work of local government, and part of it is that. You can continue.
Speaker, the problem of cognitive dissonance always.
Can you address
Yes.
what you and leave the other issues?
Yes, because you know what the mining companies did? They opened up many shafts in the rate at which one would think that they were running away. And I'm raising this, Speaker, because these mining companies are the ones that established the Democratic Alliance. From United Party in 1959, when they formed a progressive party at the house of Helen Suzman, and they further established a Progressive Reformed Party in 1975, to Progressive Federal Party in 1979, to the Democratic Party in 1989, and in 2000 to a Democratic Alliance. And most of the time they were bringing in new parties. So it's like a amoeba changing shape. But the essence of what they were doing is to ensure that they steal the resources of the country and give them to foreigners. Maybe this is because the four bearers of this organization are also foreigners. What Elon Musk was doing to take, to lie about us with the delusionary stories they created, hoping that South Africa will be given to them to rule by the US forces. They sold out our minerals in the past and now had attempted to sell out the business and the development programs of black people in South Africa. Because they failed in doing that, there is that cognitive dissonance from time to time that will be emerging, Speaker, when we talk about these issues. Now, the problem of low economic growth in our country affects service delivery in municipalities badly. The high unemployment rate suppresses the ability of municipalities to generate more revenue. It also reduces the national fiscus greatly. So municipalities should push harder for payment of services from the residents. If many of these people do not have income, they become a burden to the level to the level of services delivered by municipalities. This is a situation that many municipalities find themselves in. Their revenue potential does not cover the cost of services provided. The increasing list of indigents is not helpful to a municipality. It only assists during auditing processes, but put more pressure on limited resources of the municipality. The Department of Distia and COGTA, working together with municipalities, have tried to register tax shops. That process must enable municipalities to have a better statistics of all small businesses in their jurisdiction and be able to get payment of services from them. But this must go further, that the two departments must work harder also to deal with the problems of communities and crawls that are mushrooming all over. We must ensure that we don't see animals roaming in the streets for grazing. We cannot have a situation where there is no regulation in terms of animal husbandry in all the areas. Bylaws must be supported by provincial regulations that controls that industry. Honorable Speaker, as part of ensuring that we develop this developmental state with key critical attributes like a state organizational capacity, which must ensure that we have systems, internal systems in government that enhances better governance, and also ensure that the second attribute being building better technical capacity so that we are able to have civil servants that are able to respond to the national agenda whenever the state president, the premier, make a call. The government has come up with the district development model as an important instrument that fosters cooperative governance between spheres of government and within the sphere of government. This huge responsibility of coordinating government plans towards attainment of the interest rests with this Department of COGTA and must be commended in working tirelessly to achieve this feat. The DDM also focuses on building state capacity through stabilization of local government with a view to improve cooperative governance, integrated planning, and spatial transformation, and inclusive economic development where citizens are empowered to contribute and partner in development. Honorable Speaker, the effort of the Department of COGTA to improve conditions of traditional leadership in the province is highly commendable. It is not surprising that the Democratic Alliance wants this institution of traditional leadership to be done away with. As they say, it's a waste of money. It's because their forebearers are foreigners from Europe, and that foreign culture has descended down generations in that party. European traditional leaders have a lot of wealth and possessions as a result of minerals stolen from African countries. The king of Belgium, called Leopold II, killed thousands of Congolese and took away minerals from Congo. The same way as the Windsor family in the UK. They got rich through minerals stolen from South Africa, Ghana, and other African countries. Real African National Congress, Risa Tlhompho Homarena, Arona Freestata, Mere Kgolwa hore lefapha le tla tswela pele ka maikemisetso a ho ntlafatsa maemo a bona ho tloha hona jwale ho ya pele. Ka seno, Speaker, ke a leboha.
Thank you, Honorable Member Klute.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It's tragic. 20 million rand for municipal support. Yet 11 municipalities in the Free State are currently officially in distress. That's according to the Minister Thlabisa. 6 municipalities under intervention. Massive unpaid debts to Eskom and water boards, non-compliance with grants, we are losing money, and persistent service delivery failures. Water, sanitation, infrastructure failures, basic things. Speaker, governance in these municipalities hasn't just weakened, it has collapsed. And in the vacuum of these municipalities' failures, residents are falling prey to water mafias, construction mafias, and extortion networks. And what's the response from this government? No real plan, no real commitment, and at this rate, no real future for our municipalities. In fact, it takes a Free State High Court order to government to provide Masalonyana with water. What a shame, Speaker. That's cognitive dissonance, Honourable Speaker. We know the stories, we see the decay. Maar gelukkig, Speaker, sien ons hoop. Burgerlike samelewing is besig om op te staan. Inwoners herstel paaie, maak sy paadjies skoon, verwyder vullis self en op hulle eie onkoste. Maar hulle betaal dubbel vir dienste wat munisipaliteite nie lewer nie. En dan hoor ons van munisipale amptenare wat hulle probeer keer, omdat dit munisipaliteite sleg laat lyk. Nee, Speaker, dis nie inwoners nie, dis ANC rade wat ons munisipaliteite sleg laat lyk. These municipalities are making themselves irrelevant and ultimately redundant. MEC, I've said it before, your biggest challenge is not necessarily your department. Your challenge lies in the rogue ANC councils that continue with your party's guided deployment and unqualified and unreliable managers, CFOs, and directors. Let's be honest, your government has no intention of letting go of triple BEE and affirmative action. You've made this very clear. Despite the millions of jobs that it has cost us, according to new research just yesterday, you will pay the price, political price, MEC. But here's the real tragedy. Residents are paying the price of your party's incompetence and policies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honourable Member Nanyani.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, I can see she's a fighter today. Premier, you are welcome in EFF. Members of the Legislature, our guests, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members, today we are asked to approve the budget while there is maybe recognition of some of the Asian challenges facing the municipality, financial distress amongst others. We cannot endorse a budget and plan that fall short of the transformative action our communities urgently need. Our Speaker, on reviewing this department's performance in the previous year, it is clear that a disproportionate amount of the department's budget is spent on internal costs, notably employee compensation and administrative overheads. For an example, based on the APP 2024 and 2025, the department spent over 50% of its budget on salaries and internal functions such as recruitment processes, filling vacant posts, training of senior managers. Meanwhile, core programs are supposed to reach communities directly, such as support for service delivery, infrastructure rehabilitation, and capacitation of local municipality. are allocated significantly less. Honorable Speaker, this imbalance betrays the department's claims of putting service delivery at the heart of its work. We are, in reality, finding a bureaucracy that manages decline rather than drives transformation. Honorable Speaker, there is a little emphasis on actual impact of people, whether more homes get water, whether municipality collect revenue sustainably, whether youth unemployed is addressed through local economic initiative. The budget must demonstrate how structures will leverage to improve governance, service delivery, and economic development in rural communities. Honorable Speaker, if we are serious about building municipalities that are for the people, a people-centered COCTA budget would, 1, prioritize frontline service delivery spending, more direct investment into fixing water supply systems, repairing local roads, building sanitation infrastructure, not endless workshop and report. Honorable Speaker, mona di masepaleng hona jwale re tshwere mathata. Batho ba rona ba hloka metsi a hlwekileng ao ba nwang ha jwale. Pusong ya hona jwale ya di masepala. Batho ba rona ba tletse dipetlele, ba kula ba tshwere ke mala, ke metsi a feili e ba nwang. Ha re sa bua ka ditsela makeisheneng a rona. Ha ona mo dikoloi tsa rona di tsamayang teng. Dikoloi tsa rona ditsela di tletse di pothole, di bulaya di suspension tsa dikoloi tsa rona. And Honorable Speaker, hona jwale ha re sa palama di oloi, re palama dikoloi tse mabili a makana. Jwale ha o sontse o tsamaye di potholeng, o fellwe ke di diary ka mabaka a di pothole tsa di masepala tse re leng ka tlasa tsona. Ke mathata. Di sewerage di a phophoma makeisheneng, batho ba tsamaya hodima makaka. 2, strengthen consequence management. Ensure that municipality who fail to deliver service face real financial consequences, not endless administrative support without accountability. Honorable Speaker, di masepale mole ho so ho ithuiswa. O mong le mong a kena masepaleng o bona ho kena ka o tlo buaisa phokotho ya hae e seng o tlo sebeletsa setjhaba. Letona ha le tshwantsho le etse bonnete ba hore le dumellana le nna mo ke emeng teng hona jwale, mare ke a tseba ha no dumellana le nna ke re ke a tseba. Mane nala ke mathata. Ke mathata, batho ba ja ditjhelete tsa setjhaba, batho ba hlolwa ke ho accounta, empa batho ba hlolwa ke ho ya ditoronkong ba llelwe ke ditshepe. Honorable Speaker, a government of document cannot replace a government of action. We can no longer allow plans on paper that never materialize. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, let us bold enough to rethink, rebuild, and recenter government in the lives of the people we are sworn to serve. We therefore do not support this budget vote in its current form. Thank you.
Honourable Member McKay. What is the order, Honourable Chair of Chairs?
Now, Speaker, I rise in the point of order in terms of the rules. Members of Parliament, when they are inside Parliament, they must be protected. We see things that are being put there and we don't know what do they contain. They look like a bomb. We think that they must be taken out. This is a political debate.
It's a political debate, Speaker, not any other thing.
What is your point of order?
And for that matter, they are put next to the maize.
What is the point of order?
That's a national threat.
Honourable Member, this is the maze. Just remove whatever. Just put them somewhere.
Respect for the maize. Remove them there. Put them on the floor. Put them on the floor.
But the time,
Yola bombe batho ba rona ba e jang ena every.
Thank you. Honourable members, you are in danger with all the bottles before you. Now wait for this danger, and then you can, no, wait for it. What if it does not explode? You may call order once you are dead. Let's continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Speaker, fellow MPLs, traditional leaders and distinguished guests. Today we gather to discuss the pressing issues that strike at the heart of our communities and to review the budget proposals of the year to come. To do that, we need to reflect on the year that has passed, review the abject failures of governance in Free State municipalities and the fundamental rights of our communities we serve, coupled with the mismanagement incompetence that has led us to this point. In August last year, I sat here, a newly elected member of this august House, listening attentively to the Cooperative budget vote speech. I was cautiously optimistic, or should I rather say naively optimistic, about the prospects of a better Free State brought on by the bold statements made by the MEC as he stated, and I quote, "I too would like to add for all to know that as Free State provincial government, we have both a constitutional responsibility and a clear electoral mandate to assist municipalities in the effective exercise of their powers and functions." He went further to state, and I quote, "The era of unresponsive government has to end and a new one of responsive provincial and local government has to be born. The period of municipalities led by unqualified, incompetent and unresponsive people has ended, and one with capable, qualified, competent, committed and responsive people has to be born. Our people demand better management of municipal finance, the preferred labour-intensive delivery methods, as opposed to the expensive but ineffective service providers, and that municipalities must command a clear service delivery plan for households, commerce and industry areas if we are to see growth and investment as the key to job revenue generated for municipalities." Close quote. Honourable Speaker, it gives me no joy to report that unfortunately the opposite is more accurate, as by the MEC's own admittance today. Across the Free State, issues related to water supply, electricity, water waste management, road infrastructure have surpassed critical crisis levels and have totally imploded. The ramifications of this service delivery failures extend far beyond mere inconvenience. They affect the community's health, livelihood and overall quality of life. As residents of this wonderful province, we have the right to expect that our elected officials uphold the sworn duty to serve the people. We deserve a government that delivers essential services, fosters economic growth, and creates environments where our families can thrive. Honourable Speaker, through you to the MEC. MEC, it seems that your speech this year resonates with mine in parts. For not much has changed. What we see in the Free State municipality paints a disheartening picture of neglect, incompetence, and disgraceful lack of accountability. According to the latest Auditor General's report, 5 of the 7 national delinquent municipalities that continuously fail to submit regular financial statements on time are in the Free State. The report provides more shocking evidence that the Free State has not seen a single clean audit in 9 years, and the last clean audit we saw was in 2016. Free State municipalities spent 66.5 million on consultant fees and lost 1.5 billion, I repeat, billion, on fruitless and wasteful expenditure. When calculated, this translates to almost 400 rand per capita for the province. It is no wonder that 6 Free State municipalities are under Section 139 intervention. In all local Free State municipalities, residents have experienced severe water shortages for prolonged periods, with reports indicating that certain communities went without water for several days or even weeks. Collectively, billions are owed to Vaal Central Water Board. The failure to maintain and upgrade aging infrastructure leads to persistent leaks, and the inability to provide adequate services adds to the ever-increasing debt. The negligence is not just an inconvenience, it's a human rights violation, undermines residents' dignity and health. To illustrate the crisis, I have brought with me the bombs, the water from Deniseville, Winnie Mandela Town, and Pambile. These are samples of the water community was expected to drink. You're welcome to drink it, but I won't be held responsible for the outcome. Power outages have become the norm, not the exception. In all Free State municipalities, broken infrastructure, outdated technology, and minimal investment in repairs have left many in the dark. Sadly, like Vaal Central Water Board, billions are owed to Eskom. When confronted about these issues, the response from the municipal managers and CFOs are often being evasive at best or dismissive at worst. In March 2024, residents of Tokologo rallied to express their dissatisfaction over frequent electricity disruptions. A month later, President Ramaphosa authorized the SIU to investigate allegations of serious maladministration related to a procurement of a project titled Erection of 15 High Masts. The investigation aims to uncover any unlawful or improper conduct. The investigation is ongoing. With municipal waste management services failing to operate effectively, communities in all Free State municipalities have seen litter and dumping proliferate, leading to unsanitary living conditions. The lack of a coherent waste management strategy has become the health hazard for residents. In Machabeng, we witnessed an alarming situation earlier this year when the municipality fell behind in waste collection services. Reports revealed massive waste piles accumulating in public areas, posing health risks and drawing complaints from community members. According to reports, the municipal waste management budget has allegedly been mismanaged. This negligence not only affects public health, but also reveals deeper issues in leadership accountability. In Letsimeng, Nala, and several other rural municipalities, the roads are crumbling, with potholes and damaged infrastructure creating hazardous conditions for drivers and pedestrians alike. Roads are so dilapidated that they've become impassable, impacting daily commutes and local businesses. The residents' outcry for better roads and public transport services has fallen on deaf ears, further illustrating the disconnect between the municipal officials and the communities they purport to serve. The lack of consequence is most evident in areas of poor and slow response to investigating allegations of financial misconduct, not investigating or not properly dealing with unauthorized, irregular, and fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and material non-compliance with the legislation on consequent management. I repeat the MEC's quote. In the Free State province, provincial government, we have both a constitutional response and a clear electoral mandate to assist municipalities in the effective exercise of their powers and functions, close quote. Honourable Speaker, it is not only the failure to provide services that concern us, it is also the behaviour exhibited by those entrusted with leadership roles. We have seen a regrettable pattern of delinquency amongst ANC-deployed mayors, municipal managers and CFOs. Mafube's mayor has made headlines not for his leadership acumen, but for alleged corruption and misappropriation of funds meant for community development. With residents suffering from service delivery failures, their leaders embroiled in scandalous behaviour aimed at self-enrichment. Kopanong's municipal manager has faced allegations of financial misconduct with accusations of nepotism and favouritism in awarding of municipal contracts, violating the very principles of fairness and accountability that underpin our democratic institutions. The murder of 3 senior officials in the Mangaung Metro during the past 3 years include a past CEO of Centlec, a senior official, and a municipal water infrastructure manager. The latter citing the executive mayor to declare an end to the era of corrupt officials manipulating the Metro's operations. Ironically, both the executive mayor and municipal manager have been accused of negligence and lack of foresight in planning essential services, not to mention the billions in irregular expenditure and jobs for buddies in their respective offices. Machabeng has had 5 different municipal managers in 5 years. The reinstated executive mayor was found guilty of convicted of assaulting his driver and bodyguard during an altercation in November 2024. The court imposed a fine of 7,000 rand with an alternative of imprisonment. He further failed to disclose his directorship in a company that secures contracts with council, thereby hiding a conflict of interest. In my mind, he's the quintessential delinquent deployed cadre. CFOs across the board are complicit in a culture of mismanagement, with reports of unaccounted expenditure and questionable financial practices. That not only reflects poorly on individual accountability, but also suggests a systemic rot within these ANC-governed municipalities. Honourable Speaker, how can we trust leaders who exploit their position for personal benefit while neglecting their basic responsibility to their constituents? It is arrogance, non-performance, and corruption that has caused the degradation of our municipalities. Allow me to repeat that. Arrogance, A. Non-performance, N. And corruption, C, that have caused the degradation of our municipalities. ANC. To combat these challenges, we need a steadfast commitment to ethical governance, transparency and accountability. The DA will lobby for mechanisms from the provincial department that enhance oversight in our municipalities, core to holding municipal leadership accountable of these actions. We need leaders not only understand the complexity of municipal management, but also have the integrity to champion the needs of the community. Honourable Speaker, through you to the MEC, the disparities in the governance outcomes of these municipalities scream for urgent attention and intervention. By the Provincial Department of COGTA, the people of the Free State are tired of empty promises and poor excuses. It is time for us to demand accountability from those who have failed us. The youth, the elderly, and every resident deserves a municipality and provincial government that works tirelessly for their well-being. In stark contrast to the dismal realities faced by the residents of the Free State, we see remarkable success stories in the DA-governed provinces of the Western Cape, notably Mossel Bay and Cape Town. Their achievement highlighted what is possible when accountable leadership is placed in power and are supported by provincial government. Mossel Bay has successfully implemented community-driven initiatives, prioritising infrastructure improvements and robust public services. Their service delivery rates have surged ahead of national averages by investing wisely in maintenance and community engagements. Cape Town stands as a beacon of effective governance, praised internationally for its water management initiatives and transparent governance models. Additionally, Cape Town's unyielding commitment to infrastructure development has created job opportunities and stimulated local economies, enabling residents to thrive. The moral question posed before us today is, are we prepared to accept substandard governance simply because it has had...
Honourable Member.
Thank you,
Take
Honourable
yours.
Speaker.
You may take your seat.
Member, willing to take a question?
If I have time, I will take a question.
You can relocate.
Can I continue? Okay, so the moral question posed before us today is this. Are we prepared to accept substandard governance simply because it has become the norm in some areas? Or will we stand up and embed accountability as non-negotiable and work tirelessly for communities we represent? Honourable Speaker, let's put aside party politics and learn from the lessons of failures in the Free State, and let us embrace the examples of success from the Western Cape. Together we can build a future found on responsible governance, accountability, and a steadfast community to service, ensuring that every resident, regardless of where they reside, receives the basic services and respect they deserve. Let us reject mediocrity, hold our leaders accountable, and foster a government that truly serves the people. Together we can strive to create an inclusive, fair, and prosperous society. I thank you. I will now take that question.
We'll meet outside because permission is not yet granted. You refuse to take it.
Thank you. Honourable Member Rockman.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members, our traditional leadership, SALGA and our local government leadership. We appreciate and support the tabling of the budget vote of the Department of COGTA in the House today. Over the last few days, we have been reminded of the devastating impact of adverse weather conditions on the lives and livelihoods of our people in the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and the Free State. We express our solidarity with the people who have suffered such devastating and tragic losses over the last few days. The National Disaster Management Centre has since classified the disaster as a national disaster.
Can you just hold on? Can I ask members? I don't know if you understand what this means when a member is speaking and you speak the way you're doing. I don't know whether you find what is happening in this house not of interest to you, honorable members. Please. You can continue.
Thank you, Speaker. The National Disaster Management Centre has since classified the disaster as a national disaster affecting 4 provinces, including the Free State. Whilst no lives have been lost in our province, to the extent that the public infrastructure and agricultural sector is impacted, the classification calls for the provincial government to redirect resources to affected areas. Honourable MEC Mokoena correctly emphasised the need to strengthen integrated institutional disaster management capacity in our province. We fully support the department's prioritisation of the provincial and district disaster management centres and the establishment of a fully functional fire services unit within the PDMC. The development of district disaster management plans, including the implementation of mitigation projects, are critical components of our disaster prevention and response capacity. Our municipalities are central to our disaster mitigation strategies. Municipal planning tribunals must be aligned to the undeniable realities of climate change. One example of practical work that should urgently be undertaken is to reverse and eliminate the unfortunate practice that allowed vulnerable communities to be placed within floodlines prone to flooding. All spheres of government should collaborate to assist municipalities to achieve this objective. Other practical measures that municipalities should take to strengthen our fire prevention and mitigation strategy include the adoption of fire prevention bylaws and ensure that fire breaks are prepared to mitigate against the risk of spreading wildfires. Municipalities should also ensure the enforcement of these bylaws to address the proliferation of buildings that are a fire hazard, buildings without fire escape routes, and prohibiting the use of combustible materials in the construction of buildings. The firefighting capacity of our district and local municipalities will also have to be addressed. Undoubtedly, the program that DFFE is currently busy with, where district municipalities will receive equipment from the former Working on Fire program, will greatly assist. During the tabling of the budget vote speech of the Department of Agriculture, I made reference to the joint fire season assessment facilitated by COCTA, Agriculture and Environmental Affairs in January this year with all provincial departments and local government. This was a very necessary initiative, and we must ensure that our recommendations and resolutions are consistently implemented. These include the conclusion of Memoranda of Understanding with our neighbouring provinces for collaboration towards better cooperation and coordination in wildfire prevention, management and response. The finalisation and implementation of the Provincial Integrated Veldfire Management Framework, fire prevention and management training for particularly smallholder and emerging farmers, and strengthening the working relationship between Working on Fire and our local and district municipalities. The Minister of Fisheries, Forestry and the Environment facilitated a stakeholder engagement with all Free State Fire Protection Associations yesterday at Golden Gate. During this engagement, it was confirmed that the management, mitigation and prevention of veldfires has been escalated with the Government of Lesotho with the aim of finalising the conclusion and implementation of a Memorandum of Understanding. It will undoubtedly benefit us as the Free State. The National Department has also done extensive work to address the numerous structural challenges relating to the Free State Fire Protection Association environment. This includes the development of the proposed process that will lead to the deregistration and realignment of fire protection associations with municipal boundaries. This is a necessary process that will result in increased efficiencies. We welcome the finalisation of the voluntary realignment of the Heilbron FPA that has been concluded and they had their AGM in April. We also want to acknowledge the dedication and commitment of our fire protection associations that play such a critical role in the veldfire prevention, management and response capacity in the Free State. Equally, the Working on Fire program remains one of our flagship EPWP programs of this government. We must acknowledge the sterling work done by this program, who currently have 23 bases in the Free State, including those in Mangaung, the Northeastern Free State, Zastron and Senekal. And we encourage all municipalities to continue to support and cooperate with the Working on Fire program, as our collective effort will undoubtedly benefit all of us. The Minister's stakeholder engagement yesterday also reached consensus on the establishment of a provincial forum that will bring together the 44 FPAs, provincial and local government, SALGA, our institutions of traditional leadership, as well as other stakeholders such as Working on Fire. The foundation of the work of this forum will be based on the provincial veldfire management framework of COCTA. And this forum will also work with Deputy Minister Bernice Swarts, who are designated this responsibility by the Minister. We must ensure that we are adequately prepared to implement the provisions of the National Veld and Forest Fire Amendment Act when it comes into effect. The Act emphasizes the importance of proactive measures to mitigate the risk and impact of wildfire by enhancing fire prevention strategies, promoting collaboration among stakeholders, and empowering enforcement agencies to effectively address the challenges posed by veld and forest fires. Honourable Khuabane eloquently provided context to the resource challenges faced by our municipalities, the imperatives of local economic development, and the potential impact of social labour plans on the lives and livelihoods of our people in communities and municipalities. It is unavoidable that we need to have a new discussion on disaster management funding. We note the allocation of 10 million rand, and we equally are aware that the amount is far insufficient to the scope of the challenges we are facing. It is an area that will be included in the further budget review work that will be led by Provincial Treasury. Funding should focus on the key components of prevention and mitigation response, as well as post-event support. And the discrepancy in the attitude towards insurance between national and provincial government sphere and the local government sphere should also be re-examined. Honourable Speaker, we must find more innovative ways to assist our local government sector to address the compliance of landfill sites with relevant legislation, both from the inherent risk as a source of wildfires, but also from an environmental perspective. We have noted with concern that the Auditor General has referred certain unresolved material irregularities issued to some of our municipalities to the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment for further investigation. The National Department subsequently referred the material irregularities to DESTIA. These investigations are currently in progress, and we must urge municipalities to deal proactively with such audit findings. As Environmental Affairs, we are in a process of collating our own findings on landfill site compliance with relevant legislation, such as the National Environment Management Waste Act of 2008 and the National Waste Management Strategy of over the last 3 years. Our analysis focuses on the incidence of burning of waste instead of compacting, the availability of yellow fleet, the state of our infrastructure, fencing and access control, as well as the impact that some private service providers contracted to manage landfill sites make, as well as livestock grazing on landfill sites, and more disconcerting, the disposal of dead animals on certain landfill sites. In addition, we are reviewing the ways and means through which we communicate these audit findings. We must ensure that the findings do not only find expression at a municipal official level and provincial official level. The communication cycle must include our councillors, council structures and councils, as well as stakeholders in the public sector. Upon conclusion of our study, we will engage COCTA, SALGA and our municipalities to explore more innovative and practical ways to ensure sustainable landfill management practices that will not only achieve compliance with relevant legislation, but will realize a clean, healthy environment for all people. Honourable Klute is correct that the transformation of our local government space remains a commitment of the ANC government. It is the same ANC government who introduced the extensive regulatory framework to ensure the required levels of competence in our municipalities. The progress that we are making has been reflected in the Honourable MEC's speech. The mandate of COCTA, in essence, is to support, coordinate, monitor and conduct oversight at the local government sphere. It, however, cannot take over the operational mandate of local government, and these are the limitations of our constitutional and legislative framework that the Honourable Member of the Economic Freedom Fighters does not fully appreciate. The Honourable Member of the DA spent 12 minutes to lament and 3 minutes to tell us about the Western Cape and their municipalities. There was no practical suggestions or proposals that will drive forward local government in the Free State. For us, Honourable Speaker, we support the budget vote as tabled. Thank you.
The Honourable MEC may now respond.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Let's deal with important issues first. I'm happy that Honourable McKay concedes that what we say is what he wanted to say. And however, what we say just through Free Staters, not of living in the Free State whilst our mindsets are in the West-Cape. We, unlike Honourable McKay, we can point to the right things that he says. About the water in Masilonyana, he's correct. There are challenges there, and we've been working with them in terms of their ability to provide the necessary chemicals for their water to get it clean. And we'll be bringing in UOFs as well to deal with the issue. So we can agree and tell the truth when you say so. But unlike you, you are not able to indicate and tell the truth in areas where something right is being done in the Free State, either by a municipality or by the provincial government. One of the truths you are not telling is that we have intervened in Mohokare, where you say there are delinquent mayors and MM. There's a new mayor in Mohokare. You are mum about it, and I would love you to say it. You are also quiet about the fact that we have dealt with the issue of the municipal manager that was being appointed who was not qualified. He was being appointed, not qualifying as a director, and they wanted to make him the acting MM. We intervened. I thought that truth will come out of you, but it's very difficult. Two, you are also quiet about the fact that we are saying commercial sector is one of the single entities that owes municipalities in a big way. You are also not telling us that the issue we are raising about the economic performance and its impact on employment and hence the ability of our people to pay for their services. You are quiet, you are just condemning without looking at all of the subjective factors. Now, you can blame any other thing else, but I knew that you're going to gun for BEE. I knew that you're going to gun for cadre deployment. The administration of COCTA that we're talking about, that it is not a problem. It is led by people who are deployed, yet they are doing a good work, starting with the HOD. I will want you to concede that there are areas where government you are doing well, in as much as there are areas where you are doing wrong. And when you point to them, we act. We are in Mafube, we are in Nketwane, dealing with the problems there. We did not have to be told by anyone else. We went there on our own as part of doing our job, and we are going to work to resolve those problems. It is not easy. it is very difficult because local government on its own, there's a huge difference between local government of pre-94 and local government of today. And if we can reconcile those realities, you will then understand the point that the Chief Whip was trying to make, where institutions of government have now had to carry millions more people, based on the little resources that are available in terms of the provision of basic services, infrastructure, and many other things. You are a former councillor in Mangaung. I would want you to consider that Mangaung has turned the corner. You no longer see you on the streets in Mangaung. They are dealing with the potholes. They have stabilized quite a number of issues that they are dealt with, including when you say the roads are bad. The cycle on Andres Pretorius, it is being repaired, it is work on the road by Mangaung. You go to Mokak, I've been there myself, the roads that they are repairing and rebuilding through paving in Dislaving, a number of municipalities. So I would want you to say so, because it is not a crime, it is not a sin, it should not be painful to tell the truth. So that when you tell us where we are making mistakes, we can tell you that yes, here you are right, then we will commit. So it should not be difficult. Don't tell us about Western Cape and Mossels Bay. You are elected by the people of the Free State. I wish they knew how much you love Western Cape. I don't know why they bother electing you. Go and live in the Western Cape. Leave the Free State. Because even when Rupert tells you the truth about Western Cape, you fight him. Anybody who tells you the truth about Western Cape, you fight him. Go to Langa, Kukuletu. Go there. People have to cross the street, use communal toilet to help themselves and their women at night. It is the truth. I know Western Cape, I've worked there. You will deny it because you'll never see it. Your psyche is in such a manner that you'll never see what is the reality in the Western Cape and reconcile it with the reality in the Free State. I live that. I think the meeting of Trump in the USA...
Member, may you just take your seat for a moment? Thank you very much. Honorable members, can we try to restrain from responding from the benches to the member that's debating and trying to drown him as he's busy with his debate? You may continue, Honorable Member. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. We are in Nala. We are resolving problems. We are forcing consequence management, including using investigations of 106, which opposition is quiet about, where we investigate any area of maladministration. There's no way in which this provincial government will have enough money to give to municipalities to resolve their problems. Hence, we say we work with municipalities to resolve their problems. There are a number of arrays that we have dealt with, that we have mentioned. We are not mentioning them. Our intervention on improving the audit outcomes, improving the performance of the MIGs, making sure that we stabilize the administration. It's a number of array of interventions that are put in place. And we are the first ones to concede that we come from a history of capture that has crippled municipalities. We did not come here to hide anything else. But we want the opposition to say what we are doing is either enough, not enough, improve here. Don't tell us about Mossel Bay because the two can never be the same. The issue of debt to ESCOM as well as Val Central, we intervene for all municipalities in the province for an arrangement, debt payment arrangement to be entered between all municipalities together with Val Central, with ESCOM and all third parties to manage the situation. Our people are unemployed. That's why we raise the issue of both local and global economic conditions and their impact on the ability of the municipalities to survive. And most municipalities are simply scribbling resources to try to pay for salaries. What do we need? We need to hold hands and work together to make sure that we rebuild our areas. I expected you to speak about the fact that we are building palaces for Marena. Black African traditional leadership. We are quiet about it. You live in a province that has got two principal senior traditional leaderships. The DA has got to pay respect and recognize and accept that the areas where they live, we've got these two important leaders and government is doing something to change their lives. So as you say the issues that we are saying, I would want you to speak more on the good in as much as you are speaking more on the bad. What is it that we've got to be doing Tate Klute. That 20 million is to intervene in municipalities, to provide support. It's not enough, we agree. You know very well challenges that are faced by municipalities. There's no collapse in municipalities. That's why we jumped to intervene in Nala once we saw the issue of dualism, to salvage the institution called a municipality. There might be problem at the council level. A council is not a municipality. It's an institution plus the council that makes a municipality. So there's no collapse. Challenges, yes, there are challenges. What is the provincial government doing? We've intervened, we've put the team in place, we'll be helping them with their roads, we're already resolving issues of their housing and so on, and we're putting the required capacity to turn it around. And the issues that have been raised even by the communities there are being responded to. How it links with BEE, CADA deployment, ANC in Tontoni, I do not know. But there's only one request that one has. Can the opposition provide real alternatives than just to merely criticize? Can the opposition provide alternatives that says the ANC government, the black government in the province, there's something that we are doing right in as much as we can point the wrong things on. The right that we are doing, we are going to join you. The issue of CADA deployment is it's a tired argument. DA deploys. We have not spoken about the people who are arrested in Western Cape for corruption. We have not spoken about some MMC who says the raid in the office or was the MEC that was staged. We have not spoken about the collapse, was it in George of a structure? We have not collapsed about the difficulties that we are faced with on an annual basis. We don't raise them because we're elected by the people of Free State to find solutions. They did not elect you to tell them about the Western Cape. They elected you to say, what do we do as the Free State? So what is our request? Let's work together to rebuild the province. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. The reply by the Honorable MEC concludes the debate on Vote 8, Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The Secretary shall now read Motion 2.
That the second reading debate on the Appropriation Bill B4 of 2025 be continued. Vote 3, Economic, Small Business Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs.
For record purposes, Secretary is correct. That is Vote 3. The vote before the House is Vote 3, Economic, Small Business Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs. Honorable MEC Makume may now address the House.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Kise tlhompho e kgolo o marena, morena moholo, morena mopedi. Kise tlhompho e kgolo marena a teng kaofela mona, bo majoro ba selehae. Kise tlhompho e kgolo o mo premieri le speakera ba ntseng ba tswile ka baka la mabaka ke kenga qojwa. Di colleagues tsa ka tsa Executive Council, the House of Traditional Leaders and the Quaison, members of the Provincial Legislature, acting DG and the heads of departments present, the chairpersons of the boards and the CEO of the entities, organized business and civil society, members of the media, viewers and listeners, bomme le bontate dumelang. Ke rata pele hore ke qale ka ho isa mantswe a tshidiso ho lelapa la Mongale ba ileng ba lahlelwa ke ngwana wa bona o Lerato. Kotsi ena ke bontshang hore ona le terene e tshosang e palangweng ke banna ba nkileng qeto ya ho hlekefetsa batho ba bomme. Jwale ke re ha moya wa hae o phomola le ha dipelo tsa bontate ba ikemiseditseng ho fetola maphelo a batho bohle including a bomme o re thuse hore re fetole sebopeho sa rona ka mokgwa o di bonang dintho ka teng. Jwale ke re ho lelapa la Mongale le lahlehetswe le rona re le Freistata re lahlehetswe. Ine ile ngwana ya neng a bonahala ana le tjantjello ebile a le mafolofolo haholo o ka thusa Freistata o ka thusa naha ho tswella pele ebile o sebeditse anyane lefapheng la rona ke ka ho ke fetisang mantswe a tshidiso o isa lelapeng le metswalle ya hae kaofela. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I stand before this august house today to give account, reflect, and most importantly, humble myself to the people of the Free State, whom in their majority continue to put their future aspirations in the hands of this glorious movement called the ANC. Tell no lies and claim no easy victories. Allow me to recall the words of one Africa's foremost anti-colonial leaders, a great thinker and revolutionary of the 20th century, Amilcar Cabral, in his analysis of theory and practice. Date Mokoena has already quoted him, and using this quotation for another context, I want to put an emphasis, and I quote, "Always bear in mind that the people are not fighting for ideas, but they are fighting to win material advantage, to live better, in peace, to see their lives going forward, and to guarantee the future of their children." These words of wisdom are in line with the ruling party's political perspective that no political democracy can survive if the masses of our people remain in poverty, without land and without tangible prospects for a better life. Honorable Speaker, today we are tabling this budget vote at a time when there are global geopolitical tensions that threaten to derail economic growth across many countries. The recent tariff wars are also threatening to annihilate many industries and plunge a lot of people into unemployment and poverty. The economy of this province has and will continue to remain central to our struggle against historical injustices and present inequalities. This is consistent with one of the priorities in the 7th administration, inclusive growth and job creation. To achieve this noble goal, good governance and accountability, as well as building an ethical and capable state, are a prerequisite. Speaker, our vision for the 5 years is to see an inclusive, sustainable, and growing Free State economy built. And we want to achieve this through leading sustainable economic growth, transformation for the benefit of the Free State province and its citizens through coordination, integration, and mobilization of opportunities, efforts, and resources. Honorable Deputy Speaker, through the actions and commitments we are making today, we envisage a Free State province with the Human Development Index improving to 0.68 from 0.65 over the next 5 years, reflecting an economy which is inclusive and reduce cost of living. We would also like to see emanating from these actions a GDP growing at an annual rate of at least 1.5% of the same period, which will create more job opportunities. Honorable Deputy Speaker, last year we stood before this House and made commitments to the people of the Free State on how the department was going to work with them to prevent environmental degradation, protect the biodiversity, develop and support micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as to grow the Free State tourism market share. Allow me, Deputy Speaker, to briefly reflect on the journey traveled since we last tabled our budget before this august House. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the prevention of environmental degradation is a key mandate of this department. In the year under review, we initiated the following actions towards the implementation of the Provincial Climate Change Adaptation Strategy in collaboration with the DFFE and the local municipalities. Water harvesting in Vepenar, removal of alien and invasive species in Rustenfontein, cleaning of rivers in Bloemfontein and Harrismith, tree planting in various places across the province, awareness session of learners, communities in various districts, capacity building of municipal officials on the Climate Change Act and other aspects of climate change, promotion of renewable energy, and the development of the Free State Climate Change Information System. Furthermore, 332 trees were planted in public spaces such as schools, clinics, creches, and households in Memel and Vepenar, and rural schools in Vepenar was supported with water tanks for them to adapt and to drier and hotter summers that are causing a shortage of water. Honorable Deputy Speaker, with regard to environmental management, 211 environmental awareness activities were conducted during the past year, including 731 compliance inspections for the compliance with environmental legislation. In addition, for 4,501 biodiversity permits have been issued. Last year, we celebrated 30 years of one of our flagship programs, EnviroQs. The program started with only 6 schools participating and subsequently grew in numbers. Currently, we managed to reach 206 schools across the province. The department created more than 444 jobs opportunities through environmental programs during the past year, and also assisted participants to contribute to the Unemployment Insurance Fund so that they can claim this benefit after the expiry of their contracts. Honorable Speaker, regarding economic and small business development, the department has achieved much supporting MSMEs through financial and non-financial support programs. We have, during the 2024-2025 financial year, spent an amount of 17 million to support 88 MSMEs, which included 32 youth supported through NYDA, 6 tourism MSMEs focus areas, and 22 medium-small enterprises in different sectors, 2 MSME with blended funding through the NEF, and 26 tech shops in partnership with CCBSA. We work with development finance institutions which have presence in the province to ensure that 34 MSMEs are provided with financial support worth 4.1 million. The department also assisted 160 MSMEs using different platforms with exposing their products and creating a value proposition for market access. That is international and national pavilions, pop-up markets, expos, social media, amongst others, on an e-commerce platform. It is for that reason that I will invite all members of this House and all those who have honored the invitations from us to, as and when we end here, just go outside next to the gate and see for yourself and buy something, particularly who to celebrate their Father's Day. There are MSME who are waiting for you that side. The Botshabelo Digital Hub, which has become a center for innovation for young entrepreneurs, was supported with 500,000 during 2024-2025. Through the department's support, Regardless Culture Enterprise was successfully selected to present the Free State Province amongst 5 other participants from different provinces. The business was offered an opportunity to participate in the Sustainable Design Incubator Program that aims to grow designer brands to submitting their designs, and they were subsequently approved to supply TGF Group through their online store known as Besh. Our strategic partnership with SIPA, NYDA, Netbank, WNR CETA, Mercita, and Foodbev CETA has assisted us to capacitate 1,246 MSMEs with the basic entrepreneurship skills. An MOU was, was signed on the 28th of September 2025 between the DSTIA and NYDA, upon which an amount of 2024, an amount of 1.1 million was transferred to NYDA to support the 32 businesses mentioned earlier. Honorable Speaker, business regulation and by law enforcement is crucial to creating a conducive environment for business to thrive. In this respect, the department conducted about 239 proactive inspections and 55 awareness sessions on business compliance with various industry standards through its consumer protection unit. The Free State Integrated Business Support Licensing and Regulation Act 2 of 2024 regulations have been published for public comments. We aim to promulgate the operation of the Act once the regulations are finalized and gazetted. In the interim, all district municipalities, together with their respective local municipalities and business chambers, have been capacitated on the Free State Integrated Business Support Licensing and Regulation Act. We have also finalized the development of the Free State Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, which will guide our steps in revitalizing the Free State economy. The department will be working closely with the Office of the Premier in ensuring that the alignment and implementation of the recovery plan with the revised Free State Growth, Development and Development Strategy. We are currently conducting further consultations with business chambers, academic institutions, and other sector industries such as tourism and mining and agricultural sector in supporting the growth of the Free State economy through industrialization and value chain transformation. We have refurbished a factory in Putadichaba, Kwakwa, to benefit 30 clothing and textile operators, consisting of 4 cooperatives from the local community. As part of the ongoing efforts towards industrializing the Free State economy, the Maluti Apofung Special Economic Zone concluded lease agreements with 4 new investors in the 2024-2025 financial year, with a combined investment value of 403.4 million, which will create more than 229 permanent jobs and 140 temporary jobs at full capacity. Honorable Speaker, the department continues to enhance tourism marketing to position the Free State as a destination of choice. To this end, the department held another successful installment of the Provincial Tourism Careers Expo was conducted on August 2024, and 500 learners participated in the event. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to briefly reflect on the current state of the Free State province economy so that this can serve as a basis for our proposal interventions through this budget vote. The Free State economy grew at an average annual rate of 0.38% over 10 years, from 191 billion in 2023 to 342 billion in 2023. The province contributed 4.87 to the South African GDP of 7.02 trillion in the 2023 and achieved an annual growth rate of 0.15% in the same year, which is lower than the country's rate of 0.7%. Honorable Deputy Speaker, during the last quarter of 2024, the Free State working age population stood at 1.9 million. Therefore, out of working age group, about 1.2 residents form part of the economically active population. The recent statistics issued by the Statistics South Africa showed or stated that 750,000 were employed and 457,000 were unemployed. In the Free State, the unemployment rate recorded increase both quarterly by 1.9 percentage points, from 36.0% at that quarter of 2024 to 37.9% quarter 4, and annually with the 0.9 from 37% to 37.9 from quarter 4 of 2023 to quarter 4 of 2024. The unemployment rate among the youth between 15 to 24 years of age remained the highest at about 68.2% in the last quarter of 2024, followed by 46.9% of the population between the ages of 25 to 34 years. Our province recorded 882,000 of unemployed people in the quarter 4 of 2024. This figure represents an increase of 0.4% year on year when comparing quarter 4 of 2023 with quarter 4 of 2024. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the provincial share of tourist arrivals decreased from 10.5% in the first quarter of 2024 to 7.1% in the third quarter of 2024. Total tourist foreign direct spend for quarter 3 2024 amounts to 0.28 billion, as compared to the 0.56 billion in the first quarter of 2024. Over a 10-year period, the number of trips by tourists visiting Free State from other regions in South Africa has increased at an average annual rate of 1.14% from 2020 to 2023. The international tourist decreased at an average annual growth rate of 0.07%, which is in the negative, and they constitute 20.9% of the total number of trips, with domestic tourism representing the balance of 79.9%. The exports from the province in 2023 amounts to 11.3 billion and imports to 17.2 billion. Therefore, the total trade with the Free State is about 0.72% of the total national trade. The province has negative trade balance in 2023 to the value of 5.8 billion. Specific geographical areas of the Free State's exports and imports for 2023 includes Africa, Asia, the Central America, Europe, Middle East, and the North America. Exports of food, beverages, and tobacco products to a value of 3.69 billion dominated in 2023, followed by transport equipment, 2.17 billion, and metal products, machinery, and household appliances with 1.38 billion. Our primary sectors such as agriculture and mining recorded an increase in 2023. Agricultural hunting recorded an increase of 238.39 million in exports in 2023 when comparing to 2022. Mining of metal oils and recorded a significant increase in exports of 173 million. For the same period, most of the subsectors of manufacturing recorded increases when comparing to 2023 with 2022. Honorable Speaker, we are committed to supporting enterprises to participate in the African Continental Free Trade Agreement through a market access incentive. We will assist enterprises with access to markets through market events for local enterprises in partnership with the DTIC and other strategic role players. The department has developed the Free State Trade Portal, which is aimed to create market visibility for products made in the Free State. This platform is quite crucial for access to markets as it easily links local enterprises with international markets. In the last financial year, we established a cluster development program focusing on clothing, textile, footwear, and leather sector. And this year, we will engage our industry players for their inputs. Through this program, we consolidate groups of the industries such as clothing and textile, cement, steel, and chemicals physically in the same location so that they can benefit from the shared service and mutual support. Building on our values chain transport model, we will continue to work with other departments, government entities, municipalities, as well as the industry to ensure that emerging enterprises participate fully in the value chains of all sectors of the economy. It is for the reason that the provincial government will work hard to secure large companies to invest in our massive industrial properties. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we'll continue working with various stakeholders such as the cities, the food belt, the CETA, the CITVA, NDA, and many to support MSMEs in areas such as business regulatory and compliance by helping business navigate legal and regulatory requirements, including registration, business permits, and tax obligations. We'll also continue to empower MSMEs through training, skills development, through workshops and training sessions on business management, financial literacy, and marketing strategies. We remain committed to advancing skills development across the province, recognizing the critical role of specialized training in enhancing employability and fostering entrepreneurial readiness within our communities. A key milestone in this initiative is the implementation of new skills development program through a partnership between the FDC, UIF, and the Department of Employment and Labor, aimed at training 6,500 unemployed individuals across the province, in the main young people. This program will run for 6 months and carry a minimum of 60 credits, equipping participants with industry-relevant expertise, with an investment valued at 188 million for 2024-2026 financial year. During the financial year 2024-2025, a total number of 1,906 beneficiaries were trained in various fields, offering different programs such as assistant chefs, construction and roadworks, environmental practice and plumbing, totaling to an amount of 38 million funded by the UIF over 2 years, symbolizing a significant milestone in our educational journey and our commitment to providing accessibility education opportunities. This ongoing program will provide training in various high-demand fields, including renewable energy, plant production, and the practices. Honorable Speaker, supporting micro, small business, medium is not solely about growing the economy, but about building a future where no one is left behind. Our role as government is to create a conducive environment in supporting MSMEs for inclusive growth and sustainability, and to achieve such, the department is addressing barriers like access to finance, skills gaps, and market opportunities. Honorable Speaker, we commit to reach out MSMEs through our outreach programs in order to understand their realities and critical issues on the ground. This will do along with our strategic partners and entities with whom we had already started this journey in 2024-2025 financial year. We already led face-to-face engagement sessions with MSMEs in the 3 districts and are left with 2 districts that will be visited early in the current financial year. For the current financial year, the department has partnered with the National Electronic Media Institutes of South Africa, NEMISA, the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, NYDA, Valley University of Technology, eSkills Collab, to train 30 youth for 4 weeks in cell phone repair program. The trained youth will receive tablets, cell phone repair toolkits, and basic entrepreneurship skills development, included business registration. This collaboration will be impactful as it will combine funding with the acquisition of skills to support startups. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we strongly believe that manufacturing is the cornerstone of the economic growth and job creation. The Free State Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan points to the investment and manufacturing sector as the necessary tonic for the stubbornly sluggish economic growth in the Free State. To this end, the department and the FDC is focused on ensuring that our state-owned industrial parks become a hive of manufacturing activity. To realize this objectivity, the department will continue to invest in the refurbishment of the factories in Putadichaba, Tabanchu, and Botshabelo, with a view of retaining the current investors and attracting new ones. The department has set aside about 7 million for this purpose in the current financial year. Honorable Deputy Speaker, access to affordable finance is critical to any business, especially those that are established, are the establishment or the growth phases. In this regard, we will be issuing a call for applications for financial support on the 20th of June 2025 in sectors such as manufacturing, tourism, agro-processing, clothing, textile, footwear, and leather, and small-scale mining. An online application platform to manage this process is already in place. This will ensure fairness, transparency, and efficiency. For enterprises to submit their applications, we encourage our MSMEs to be on the lookout for this call via the media and our departmental website and to apply accordingly. Working with Proudly South Africa, we will increase the visibility of the Free State produce commodities through our Buy Local campaigns. We will support small-scale and artisanal miners and with business planning, environmental compliance, license and applications. Honorable Speaker, public procurement is a key lever for industrialization, reindustrialization and raising the aggregate domestic demand. One of the priorities is to stimulate the demand side of the economy as well as the supply side in order to improve the pace of economic recovery. In this regard, the department will work with the provincial treasury to identify the top 20 most procured consumed commodities by the provincial government for targeting for local production and sourcing. This will be one of the ways of stimulating and supporting the manufacturing sector in the province. The department will investigate the reasons behind a large number of commercial properties standing vacant in Bloemfontein through visibility analysis, attempt to revitalize the business center of the city. Simultaneously bring MSMEs closer to their target markets. We will also take a leading role in actively advancing public sector on matters relating to capital formation, innovation and technology, and the economic infrastructure. Honorable Speaker, the FDC continues to explore meaningful and mutual beneficial partnerships with the private sector to fulfill its mandate. It will double the efforts to attract private sector and private investors to utilize their capabilities and resources to improve its aging infrastructure, attract more investments into the province, and create much-needed jobs. In Tabanchu, the entity has recently concluded partnership with property development company to redevelop and manage the Ratlo Shopping Center. The partnership has been a commitment of 193 million for the redevelopment of the center over 24 months, with 400 jobs to be created during construction phase and local businesses benefiting from the project. This project is expected to start in the first quarter of 2025-2026 financial year. Once concluded, the facility will improve the shopping experience to the local community and expedite service delivery processes by housing various government departments and entities. The FDC property portfolio remains a key vehicle in sustaining the entity's long-term viability. There are a number of FDC clients who are not meeting their monthly financial obligations, and as such, conduct undermines this situation. To this end, I have instructed the FDC to spare no effort in recouping all outstanding debts, which runs into millions from defaulting clients. I want to repeat this one. To this end, I have instructed the FDC to spare no effort in recouping all the outstanding debts and which runs into millions from defaulting clients. Honorable Deputy Speaker, as part of this contribution towards the government's program of security of tenure, to ensure home ownership, the FDC will work together with municipalities in Mangaung and Dihlabeng to ensure the title deeds issue to qualifying 1,882 beneficiaries of the government subsidized homes. Honorable Speaker, a multi-apofung SEZ remains a catalytic and viable approach for economic growth and the acceleration of the job creation through manufacturing and commercial activities that are promoted and conducted on preferential taxation and supported by the good infrastructure. The MAP SEZ has installed CCTV cameras at the Greenland substation and monitoring control room, which amounted to 500,000. The entity further contracted a cleaning company to address illegal dumping within the zone, and 500,000 will be allocated to the current financial year. The entity will also implement intensive refurbishment of the factory number 26 to accommodate Glen Leslie Pty Ltd, estimated at 622,000. Upgrading of electrical infrastructure and maintenance of the street lights within the zone will amount to 850,000. MAP SEZ roads maintenance to restore and improve deteriorated roads is estimated at amount of 472,000. The investment promotion through branding of the park to 674,000. In line with the requirements of the SEZ Act, MAP SEZ has finalized and submitted the 2025-2026 corporate plan to the DTIC minister. Currently, the entity has investment pipeline of 16 investors with an estimated total investment value of 3.26 billion. The Work of Life Ltd, fruit packaging and apple concentrate manufacturing facility, the Premier was asking about it some times ago, intends to construct 7,200 meters factory on the site, 108, in the agro-processing precinct, utilizing their own capital, and Glen Leslie Estates, Pty Ltd, fruit packing facility. We will work with Work of Life in relation to supply of apples for further processing, in an effort to provide more opportunities for MSMEs within SEZ. Rovnosource will also be operating a source producing plant as part of the MAP SEZ new MSME block, built specifically for small enterprises. The entity will continue with security enhancement project in the zone to combat vandalism, protect investors and employees in the park, as well as ensuring compliance. Honorable Speaker, we will continue with activating pledges and partnerships for 2024 Investment Conference 2024. This approach will be augmented with the continued investment drive in the local alternative energy, as well as skills development in the alternative energy labor market. The department will endeavor to unblock funding, regulatory municipality challenges inhibiting. Building on successes of the second investment conference, will employ an investment attraction anchored on the 5 pillars in order to attract and promote more investment in the Free State. Showcase success stories, highlight the achievements of the current projects through press release and social media campaigns, investor relations, establish and maintain strong relationship, public-private partnership, pursue and foster collaborations between government and private sector, red tape reduction, marketing and branding, develop a strong market campaign to promote the Free State as a prime location for renewable energy. Investor engagements are underway for the preparations for the third Free State Investment Conference. The event has become our cornerstone of our efforts to attract investment and foster partnerships that unlock immense potential for our region. This year, the conference will place a deliberate focus on the tourism sector. Through targeted investor engagements, we aim to highlight the unique opportunities and the hidden gems within the tourism in the Free State. As a province, we'll actively participate and support the critical catalytic developments such as the Vaal River City region development, which will closely integrate with our industrialization and cluster development programs. It will also guide housing, road, school, and health facilities development in the involved areas of the province. We'll actively pursue the development of the Karoo Corridor, which will include the Garib Lake Development Initiative on the Spatial Development Framework. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Free State Consumer Affairs Court is an instrument intended to alleviate challenges that consumers experience when they complain that are not resolved by the business, because the majority of consumers could not afford to litigate where their rights are infringed. The Consumer Affairs Directorate will continue to investigate reported cases and conclude them within a 90-day period, and further encourage mediation for the matter is referred, or before the matter is referred to the court. Since the directive by the President of the Business Registration, we have received about 11,800 applications across all districts, and 5,299 of these are from foreign nationals. Illegal activities driven by foreign syndicates have threatened townships, spaza shops, flooding markets with counterfeit goods. The Free State Integrated Business Licensing Regulation Act No. 2 proposed stringent penalties, including hefty fines, imprisonment, immediate shutdowns of illegal shops. Honorable Speaker, our vision for tourism in the province is tourism spending increase from 7.9% to 10% GDP over the next 5 years. Honorable Speaker, consistent with our vision of bringing new products to the market of the tourism, has assisted province to upskill 15 new entrants who are undergoing nature and culture training in preparation for the launch of the Dinosaur Interpretation Center at the Golden Gate Highlands Park. These tourist guides will be able to generate their own income by providing tours to both international and domestic affairs. The Maluti Drankensberg Transform program will continue with collaborative work together with the KZN, Eastern Cape, and the Kingdom of Lesotho, and details will follow once we have consulted with the Premier. The Lake Harip initiative is also something that we are talking about. It's a tri-provincial project which include provinces that are scaling around the lake. So the terms of reference will be outlined and the scope of the work, as well as roles and responsibilities and stakeholder involvement. The market access will assist tourism MSMEs to engage and access tourism buyers and various markets using these things. The promotion of the rural tourism has a potential to assist in preserving our heritage. In this regard, we have already met with Morena Emuholo Muntwedi Mota to explore areas of collaboration in making the award-winning Vetisuk Mountain Lodge to be a destination of choice. Equally, we have also met Morena Emuholo, Morena Mupedi on the improvement that should be done around the precinct where the statue of Morena Paulos Mupedi was erected. This area holds the history of Bakwena Bamupedi and must be preserved for the prosperity, including the renovation at the one area, a sacred place, Hamorena Muntwedi, which also must be erected and it must be refurbished. Our rallying motto, Free State is a place to go to, not a place to go to. Encourage visitors to spend more time in the Free State to explore natural beauty of the province. Consistent with this motto, the department has already started refurbishing the resort and reserve. Honorable Deputy Speaker, it is concerning that none of the landfill sites in the province are complying with their license conditions. The Office of the Auditor General has raised 3 material irregularity findings in Nwate, Metsimaholo, and Mangaung Metropolitan. So these are the municipalities that we must attend to this. We need to seriously promote initiatives such as reduce, recycle, and reuse. The biodiversity conservation is a key criterion in the aspiration principle and criteria for sustainable bioeconomy. It is thus imperative that biodiversity protection and conservation be prioritized, and in this regard, we shall continue with our efforts of protecting our flora and fauna and will strengthen measures to prevent illicit trade in protected species. Building a capable and ethical and developmental organization. Honorable Speaker, in order to improve the departmental efficiency resulting from the planned migrant of the environmental affairs function to the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, and to respond to budget challenges broadly faced by the public service, we are going to amend our organizational structure so that it speaks more directly to efficiency, effectiveness, and service delivery. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, let me thank the Honorable Premier for her continued support and guidance. Equally, I would like to thank my colleagues in the Executive Council, thank the HOD, the officials in my office, the officials in the department, the officials in the entities, the chairpersons and the CEOs in the entities, and everyone who has contributed to this drafting of the budget. I owe my gratitude to my political home, the ANC, for entrusting me with the privilege of contributing to our vision of serving the people of the Free State. My utmost gratitude is reserved for my family, for their continued support and sacrifice, participating during those long hours, periods of absence from home when I'm taken away, sometimes days on an end, to execute the responsibilities vested on me. I therefore table this budget before the House, vote number 3. Thank you.
We proceed to the debates on Honorable MEC's presentation on the budget vote of the Department of Economic, Small Business and Development. The Honorable Thabo Meko may now take the floor.
Sit down. Deputy Speaker, thank you very much. It's running away. Deputy Speaker, the ANC welcomes this plan by the department responsible for the economy in the province, Premier, as cardinal to reinvigorate the Free State economy. And its content makes us to believe of the ANC philosophy of a political economy. In other words, how we look at issues of the economy as an ANC-led government. And this approach of the political economy, in our view, is a guaranteed approach to install equal distribution of equal resources amongst all the people of South Africa as demanded by the Freedom Charter, a document which continues to guide this country till today. It is apartheid economic relations and its legacy which are standing on our way to achieve the Freedom Charter society, to achieve parity in the economy, to be able to dismantle, complete dismantling of interrelated socio-economic challenges, of class exploitation, of gender oppression and race exclusion, whose origin is the structural apartheid economic relations. And we believe as the ANC that the approach of the political economy, in other words, the MEC must not just throw a project. That project needs to have a context, it must have a catalyst effect if you want, it must have implication, it must have impact. Number one, to transform the economy. Two, to ensure that everybody else in this country participate and benefit from this economy. And that's why the argument of the ANC is that our problems are structural. In other words, they are rooted in that history where people were excluded. In fact, we argue even deeper, MEC Makume, that the many of the socio-economic problems we're confronting as this country, gender-based violence, gangsterism, including to a certain extent the very crime, are a byproduct of this type of the economic relations, which was defined by the government that came before the democratic government. The interface between the three, an example, our women, our mothers, our sisters, are oppressed by patriarchy. They are also excluded from the economy, and they are also part and parcel of a nation that was oppressed. And that's why when we look at them, we said, you are the special ones because it's only you who have gone through a triple oppression, as opposed to both African men, worse the white men. Because in as much as white men oppressed black people, they also oppressed white women. And that's why our argument with regard to that. Now, our understanding is that this annual plan, the departmental vote, is presented amidst a complex economic landscape. And many speakers who came here, of course those who were progressive, in how we understand the South African question, alluded to the fact of the global economic downturn. We mention it precisely because of the recent development you know about. And the implication arising from such will attempt to explain it as we appreciate this input today. As well, constrained domestic tax base. All of you know that when a government says we want to increase tax, there was a serious commotion in the country. To the extent that today we're standing here repeating almost the things that we did because of certain sentiments in the country, for which the ANC said, if it is our people who will agree, but we don't want to agree to a short-termist type of an approach and a populist approach to complex issues of our country. So we're making note that this budget of the Department of Economy in our province is presented during this time. As well, high inflation and unemployment, increased tariffs, and limited revenue streams. Despite these challenges, South Africa has made a notable progress. One of the things that we're mentioning is that the country's credit rating, MEC, outlook has been revised lately from stable to positive, and this signals international confidence in South Africa's financial stability and debt servicing capability. This upgrade reflects the country's commitment to fiscal prudence, macroeconomic stability, and the pursuit of a growth to focused agenda. It reinforces investor confidence and affirms that South Africa is on a positive economic trajectory. Hence the decision, the MEC says, we will again as a province convene the third installment of the investment conference, focusing on tourism. But the ANC is very excited, MEC. We greatly appreciate an analysis and of course the ramifications on the provincial balance of payment account. It's not often that we do that as this province, and we greatly appreciate it, MEC Makume. For two reasons. Number one, draw attention to all players in the economy, but also quite important to build data in order to be able to take economic decisions. You know, economy is not like any other thing. I don't want to be controversial by making examples. You can't take decisions about the economy if you don't have data that points you to a particular type of the decision that you must take. And that's why the MEC talks about this investment, because the credit rating of South Africa recently has just been reviewed. You know, as well, given the role that we're playing globally. Even from the perspective of the continent to continent, nation to nation, as well as province to province, we're saying the issues of the balance of payments have got to do with imports and exports. And if there's a deficit, it might hurt our economy otherwise. And the MEC speech makes mention of this in terms of an attempt to balance it such that it becomes biased towards our interest as a province. For instance, if a businessman produces something here, that something must be manufactured here, processed and everything, and it must leave this province as a fully economic commodity. Because the moment you extract it as raw and you take it out, you are at the same time exporting the possibility of jobs that must be created by that manufacturing activity. Now that's the point that the speech is making. And we're saying that thank you very much that even the balance of payment account is on the basis of our province in relation to the rest of the country. In other words, even if goods leave Free State and they go to Natal, we must apply the same principles of balancing, because we don't desire for a deficit. This basically says to us the knowledge that the MEC speaks about in terms of imports and exports. We must know what is produced in our province. We must know what is it that is consumed in our province. Equally, it provides that opportunity, a real opportunity, MEC, of economic data. Because you can't be taking decisions if you don't know what we have and that we do not have. We're making a point further, MEC, that we're noting the deficit you are speaking about with hope that the new focus will streamline private sector as a mainstay of growth of the economy. Government unashamedly must mobilize the latter, the private sector, and everybody to act in a manner that we commit to increase the gross domestic product of the Free State. If the GDP doesn't grow, there will never be a miracle that will address unemployment, for instance. and to a certain extent inequalities and poverty by a larger measure. It is for this reason, amongst many, that we commend President Ramaphosa for his principled leadership in confronting distortion, safeguarding our national sovereignty, and reaffirming our commitment to a peaceful and inclusive democratic South Africa. People who are interested to analyze the theatrics of what happened in that office in America, we had a very astute president who has built a capacity to engage from the period of negotiations. When this country was a slight provocation, slide into a civil chaos, President Ramaphosa at that time, the ANC was busy crafting him and building him to be this type of a man that is leading us properly today. That capacity was built over time. Now, when he went there to negotiate, we knew when people were panicking and excited that, hey, there's going to be another Zelensky moment. We knew that Resenda Pokwa and can handle any other thing that comes in his way. So our belief is that our bilateral talks indeed were substantive, but amongst many things they achieved to reset the pattern of USA-South Africa trade relations, where quite importantly the issues of AGOA, Africa Growth and Opportunity Acts, and as well as the G20 meeting that is going to be convened by South Africa, were entertained and a progressive understanding was crafted. MEC, we greatly appreciate the third installment of the Free State investment. The first one happened, the second one focused on renewable energy in the main. Around 80 billion of commitment was canvassed. And we've got no doubt that you will certainly build from that moving forward into the third installment and provide a successful investment to our province, arising from locally, from nationally, as well as continent and the world at large. We welcome with great enthusiasm the finalization of the Free State Integrated Support Licensing and Regulation Act 2 of 2024. The ANC thinks that this will be a game changer in the restoration of local beneficiation by local businesses, including the installation of ethics and food safety, as MEC Mukwena was alluding. But we are not delaying and all of that, including illicit products. We meet products that we have never seen before. At some point, I made a very insensitive example, and I don't want to repeat it. There's this particular pill we're told it's manufactured in the street. Now, coupled, MEC, with the Free State Economic Recovery Plan, we think that this particular law is going to anchor on that and build a very monumental approach in dealing with issues of the economy, which are very complex in our province. Now, we believe that in the main, what this is going to help us to do is the resolution of the challenges of the township economy. And the ANC has got no issues with foreigners. But at the same time, we're saying our Ubuntu must not be abused. We appreciate the roles of all investors in our country, in our province, and of course, other humanitarian issues, others come here to study and all of that. But that must not be abused. It must as well be to the benefit of our. So the issues of licensing and everything else will require a strong intergovernmental relations. The point that MEC Mukwena, when was standing here, made about the role of municipalities with regard to the registration and licensing of local businesses, because municipalities have got a role to play. Now, MEC, we're also excited, as we make our last point, that this that we are doing, this act, as well as the funding on the townships, because you see, we also need to succeed to deal with the dichotomy between ANC has got good policies, the problem is the implementation. And that's why when they're underpinned by allocations, then we make believe that indeed we'll achieve so much MEC. Now, we're saying, MEC Mukwena, as we conclude, it coincides with what National is doing, very progressive. Minister Tau talks about 100 billion of transformation fund. In other words, we're becoming deliberate now to say, Lava Tobacco happy this time around. We are not going to be shaken. In fact, we'll provide those planes for. I'm prepared to take some from this city with my car to Johannesburg. But this transformation fund, the township fund, are going to happen as part of the BEE, Honorable Klute. If you want to leave, you are my friend. I have no issues with you. When I differ with you politically, I still appreciate you. But if you want to leave, I won't stand on your way. Because as we want to share the small cake of our economic resources, the ANC accepts, appreciates, and support the speech of the economy in the province by MEC Makume. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair of Chairs. Honorable Klute.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. You know, it must be exhausting to constantly defend the executive's failures. I unfortunately don't need to do that, and I don't need to praise fish for swimming. So let's rewind to a few months ago when we were promised 80 million in investment after the department's Grand Investment Summit. Now it's 2 and now it's number 3. Where is that money? How many of those pledges have actually materialized? Now, Speaker, I'm glad we're having this debate as well alongside Kochta, because economic development, small business, tourism, and environmental affairs all live and die in our municipalities. In the Free State, it's more a case of dying. We know that municipalities next to rivers are actively polluting them due to the crumbling infrastructure and gross mismanagement. This isn't an isolated issue, Deputy Speaker. It happens in Mokaka, in Machabeng, in Ngwate, in Kituwana, just to name a few. Add to that failing waste management and it becomes clear. Local government is the single most biggest polluter in the province. Speaker, this is a disgrace. The very structures that are meant to actively protect is actively destroying it. Speaker, the economy will not grow if we don't fix local government. It's as easy as that. It will not grow if we continue to praise mediocrity. It's as easy as that. We keep hearing whispers of an upgraded airport in Welkom. The very same municipality can't even fix its water and sanitation infrastructure. And by the way, MEC, how do you expect to grow the economy while the province needs 45 billion rand to fix our roads? And how many actual jobs are entities actually creating outside themselves? So let's talk about policy. You speak about growth, but your government clings to outdated policies that actively destroy opportunities. Just yesterday, the Free Market Foundation reported that BEE has cost South Africa 5 trillion rand and 4 million jobs. Let that sink in. 5 trillion rand, 4 million jobs lost. There's nothing progressive about that, Honourable Megu. At 1.5% growth, we are stagnating, MEC. It's not enough. You know, and I know, we all know, that this country needs between 4 and 6% sustained growth just to reduce unemployment. So I ask you, MEC, are you here to defend failure
Honourable Member,
or
thank
ready
you,
to admit
and
the
your
system
time
is
is up.
broken? Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
I think the honorable member meant to say Mokaka, that was just a mispronunciation. We don't have a Mukaka in the province. Because if directly translated, we'll have to take you to ethics. So I just needed to, for record purposes, I just needed to correct that. The Honorable Chabalala. Members who are still in the House, can we at least provide decorum? Thank you, and you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, most unfortunately, where we are sitting, we were a fake heater. It is very much cold. That heater is just a display, not a heater. Greetings to you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable MEC, Honorable Marrena Aka au ke a hlomphang ka tsela e kgethehileng, honorable members of Legislature. As a party rooted in the struggle of the working class, the unemployed, informal traders, and the marginalized communities of this province, we approach this debate with one simple question: who benefits from the budget? I mean this one. Because for too long, our people have watched budget passed with great promises, only to find that reality of poverty, joblessness, hunger, and economic exclusive remains. They remain unchanged. Honorable Speaker, kannete ke bothata ka hohle hohle. Budget ya rona e dula e le masoba. Setjhaba sa bo rona se phela ka thata. Se a hloka le metsi, empa metsi a phalla hohle. Honorable Speaker, the economy of this province is not growing in any meaningful way for the poor. While statistics may show normal increase, the truth of the ground is that the cost of living is rising faster than wages. The majority of our people remain unemployed or surviving through the informal economy. Honorable Speaker, House and Tusa, what go Fatsman? And I can't disturb.
Honorable members, may we please respect the honorable member who's on the floor? Thank you.
Let's have a look at the Maluti SEZ. Its intention will never be impacted. After nearly a decade since its designation in 2015, still suffers from chronic underfunding and an incomplete organizational structure. Re ne re lebeletse hore e tla re ha e le dilemong tse, ebe batjha ba thotse mesebetsi, ba ya sebetsa. Mara ha o fihla moo, o tla kopana le bo ausi ba dutse ditulong tsena tsa mozwinki tse rontang. Ba ntse ba zwinka ka tsona. Ha o na le something e bohlokwa eo o batlang ho botsa ka yona moo, Karabo ya ausi ke nna ke tsebe ka nnete mme. SEZ ha e so go tswele molemo. Ke bua ke re from 2015. Ke mokgabiso fela wa sebaka se seholo se setle se senang mabaka. This raises a fundamental question. Is this department serious about building a functional SEZ, or is this just another vanity project with no real agency? Despite 1.935 billion in investment promises, that zone has only produced 434 operational jobs. Honorable Deputy Speaker, on tshwarele. Ntse ke so bone hantle mahlo. Thola. We cannot talk about inclusive growth while the economic structure of this province remain in favor of large corporations, politically connected tenderpreneurs, and allied tourism ventures. We cannot talk about the optimal use of resource when communities see millions spent on consultants and workshops only. If the department is serious about job creation and reducing poverty, then the budget must show a bold shift towards direct investment into community-owned. Re kopa ka nnete re ke re bone bohlokwa ba SEZ ka hare ho maluti a phofung hobane bana ba ituletse ha ba sebetse. Informal trading, infrastructure and accessible financial for township-based small business. This department must develop a budget and plan that moves beyond pilot projects and get to the heart of the issue land. Issue ileng lefatshe, access to capital and municipal bylaws that do not destroy the informal sector. We further caution against the tendency to over-invest in high-end tourism development that are inaccessible to ordinary people. Ecotourism, cultural tourism, and rural tourism must be community-driven and must benefit the local population, not just private investors. Honorable Speaker, the department has spoken of aligning its plan with key priorities: inclusive growth, job creation, poverty reduction during the cost of living, and building a capable and ethical state. We support this goal, but we must ask, where is the radical shift in budgeting that gives expression to these goals? Hakikwala Speaker, we want to remind this House that the future of our province is in the hands of informal traders, women-led How papi?
No. Honorable Member, I don't think that is parliamentary. That is not parliamentary. I'll now take the Honorable Van Vuuren.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, it does not mean that because environmental affairs is at the end of the name of this department, it is less important than the other programs. It might even be more important. Just because we cannot see a change in the environment as quickly as we can feel a change in the amount of money in our pockets, we should not be deeply concerned about the outcome of poor environmental management. Ban Ki-moon said, and I quote, "Saving our planet, lifting people out of poverty, advancing economic growth, these are one and the same fight. We must connect the dots between climate change, water scarcity, energy shortages, global health, food security, and women's empowerment. Solutions to the one problem must be solutions to all." End quote. You are right, Honourable Mokoena, in his absence, I see. The Western Cape can never be compared with the Free State. And let me tell you why. In Saldanha Bay, the DA is positioning the Western Cape to become Africa's green hydrogen hub. 4 major projects are already in pipeline, and we are finalizing an infrastructure master plan to unlock billions in investment. It is not enough to focus on industries that are already successful. We must invest in industries of the future. When the rest of the world thinks of the green hydrogen, they will think of Saldanha, which is the kind of green initiatives we want to see in the Free State. Before the Free State can consider green hydrogen as an idea, and we've heard it now, we need to figure out how to ensure our wastewater treatment plants function. The fact that there are almost no municipality with a functioning plant has created an environmental disaster, with raw sewage running straight into our streams and rivers across the province. Compounding the problem is that the Free State is very exposed because there is no functional disaster management centre with plans to deal with this kind of crisis. I wish I could take all the members from the ANC and other opposition parties to visit the Disaster Management Centre in Cape Town. I want us to do it because the Free State hasn't got a disaster management centre. For some perspective, in the Western Cape, there are 6 functional disaster centres, 1 for each district. The Western Cape has access during a disaster to 8 spotter aircrafts, 4 bomber planes, 8 helicopters, and 2,000...
Honourable Member, you may take your seat. Honourable Chief Whip.
Maybe the question is to you, Speaker. Are we in the Western Cape or are we a periphery of the Western Cape? I thought we are in the budget of the Free State here. We have to listen to the whole day about Western Cape.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I will allow the member to continue.
Thank you, Speaker, but let me just comment on that. Yes, we govern in the Western Cape. So let's compare apples with apples. Where we govern and where the ANC govern. It's an easy thing. I mean, apples with apples, I see the Western Cape as this red, beautiful, sweet apple. But the one in the Free State, I can promise you, is a rotten one
because you've never
with
been
worms
to
in it.
Imizamoyetu.
Chair, the Western Cape has access during this disaster to 8 spotter aircrafts, listen to this, Honourable Member, 4 bomber planes, 8 helicopters, 2,300 firefighters, compared to the Free State, where we can't even procure 1 truck or ambulance without first having to deal with a corruption scandal. That's the truth. Ansel Adams, world-renowned photographer and environmentalist, said, and I quote, "It is horrifying that we have to fight our own government to save the environment." End quote. Honourable Speaker, at the Democratic Alliance, we base our policies and decisions on evidence and facts. Unlike the ANC, which bases its policies on deceit, lies, and gaining control in a never-ending power struggle within the organisation. The Free State, now facts does not cease to exist because they are ignored. The Free State economy contracted by 0.1% in 2024. That's a fact. 2 months ago, we saw that the IMF downgraded the projected GDP growth of South Africa to 1%, an indication that the international market does not have confidence in our projections and fiscal policies. Sorry, the Speaker. Despite the revelations by the IMF, the MEC of Finance projected that the Free State would grow by 1.6% in 2025 and 1.7% in 2026. These figures show how out of touch and misleading the ANC may be. As such, low growth is unlikely to reduce unemployment without the political will they continue to lack. To put this into perspective, Honourable Speaker, in Q4 of 2024, the Free State saw 25,000 more people join the unemployment line. This is a fact. The unemployment rate in the Western Cape stands at 19.6%, and in the same quarter, they created 62,000 new jobs, the highest in the country. This is not luck. This results from policies that work, a government that cares, and a real-world example of political will. Agbare Speaker, die DA verwelkom die feit dat die departement erken dat die FTC selfonderhoudend moet wees. Ons verwelkom ook die feit dat die MAP spesiale ekonomiese zone 'n begroting van 40 miljoen het. Nou kan die bestuur nie meer agter die FTC wegkruip nie en moet hulle rekenskap gee van hulle eie mislukkings. Honourable Speaker, I have to ask the question, why is it that the DA in the Western Cape can get it right? Let me ask it again. Why? I know why. They do not steal, lie and deceive. Westgrow, the trade and investment agency of the Western Cape, has secured to date 8.7 billion in new investments. More than money that will create nearly 11,000 jobs in the next 5 years. Their trade teams have helped businesses land export deals worth 2.64 billion, supporting over 1,000 additional jobs. I'm convinced that since the inception of the FTC, it has cost the Free State more than what it could generate or attract through investment. Honourable Speaker, if I had to focus only on one thing in the Free State to ensure that we grow the economy and create jobs fast, it would be infrastructure. Margaret Thatcher said, and I quote, "You and I came by road or rail, but economists travel on infrastructure," end quote. Without proper roads, sustainable water and electricity, we are dead in the water. We most probably have the worst road network compared to all the other provinces. Because all the roads lead to the Free State, we must ensure that people and companies have the confidence to access our roads. These roads are the main arteries for small towns to survive. It does not just ensure that goods are transported to, through and from the Free State. It also ensures safety for the commuting of workers, children and emergency services. Honourable Speaker, we can only stress how important it is to improve our position, especially in other areas like tourism. Tourism directly impacts economic growth and job creation. Besides a poor infrastructure, the province struggles to optimally use the assets we currently have to our benefits, such as our international airport, parks and resorts, to mention a few. While the Free State loses the number of flights and tourists in and out of the province, the Western Cape recorded 84 cruise ships that docked in their harbours. Yes, we haven't got an ocean and can't dock ships, but we can at least be able to keep the gates of a resort open. We can't even do that. Over 3 million passengers passed through the Western Cape airports, while the Conventional Bureau secured 686 million in business events. The DA has rebuilt tourist attractions, trained hundreds of new tourist guides, and helped businesses prepare for climate risks. This is how you capitalize on tourism potential. Economic growth lies in the principle of growing productivity and increasing sustainability over time. The DA has on an economic justice policy which uses poverty as a
Honourable
proxy.
Van Vuuren, may you take your seat? Honourable Mbalula.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I just wanted to ask a question. Is the Honourable Van Vuuren aware that we are not in the Western
Let's first
Cape,
allow
but
him
the Free
to
State?
respond if you will take the question. Honourable Van Vuuren, will you take the question? No, it was a question.
Yes, I am aware, and again, I'll tell you, because we want to compare apples with apples. You can't govern, we can. So I want to tell the people of the Free State why you suffer from this sickness or illness. But I'll tell you now, I'm going to get to that, Honourable Member. Let me just see. Before you start, Honourable Speaker, I just responded to him. I want to bring this House to the attention of Wits School of Governance professor, and you've all read this statement, Professor William Gumede, who stated, and it links to that 5 trillion rand that Honourable Klute just referred to. Conservatively, 1 trillion rand has been moved between under 100 people since 1994 under triple BEE. Honourable Mokoena, you must take note of this, and hopefully you've read it. Ensuring that the same people have been empowered and re-empowered over and over, and locking millions of more citizens out of opportunity and into an endless cycle of poverty and despair. But ANC representatives will come up to this podium and these budget debates and talks about being a pro-poor party and looking after the vulnerable people and expect praise for just doing what they are mandated to do. You want residents to praise and herald you as heroes for just fulfilling your responsibility. And as Honourable Klute said, you can't praise a fish for swimming. Just do your job. To be pro-poor means to be a party that fights against ridiculous and unfounded VAT hikes. Honourable Mayor is out. Pro-poor is fighting for the empowerment of people.
Can the member take a
Not
question?
based on, no, I'm not going to take. Not based on race,
No,
but rather...
Honourable Van Vuuren, let me recognize the member. Honourable Mokoena,
Is the honourable member willing to take a question?
are you willing to take a question, Honourable Member?
I'm not again going to say we're not in the Western Cape. Come on, please. No.
He's responded to your question. You may proceed.
Can't. Pro-poor is fighting... Pro-poor is fighting for the empowerment of people, not based on race, but rather on need and does not prioritize the enrichment of the politically connected. Pro-poor is fighting against the NHI that could cripple our healthcare system and spiral our economy even further down. And pro-poor does not support an expropriation act that could potentially drive our economy into Zimbabwe. Through you, Speaker, Honourable Saki Mokoena and his cronies, or whatever you call them in the ANC, will blame, and he's done it, and they're going to do it just after this again. They blame a couple of things. Apartheid, white people, and let me add Jan van Riebeeck to it. For the problems we face, you can never stand up and say the ANC is a failure. You can never say that you had the opportunity for 30 years and you failed.
Honourable Van Vuuren, if you may take your seat.
Is the honourable member now acceding that the fish is swimming? Praising the fish for doing its work is now acknowledging that we are doing our work?
Thank you for asking. Yes, I'm exactly saying you're not, but you want us to praise you for anything that you have to do. So the people must stand up and say, thank you, ANC, but there's nothing to eat on the table, there are no roads to ride on. Chairperson, opportunity for 30 years and you failed that, and you will never stand up here and say that the ANC is a failure. Let me call a spade a spade. That's exactly what's happening. You said we must call a spade a spade. I categorically state that you will never, the ANC will never be able to deliver on your promise if you don't stop incompetence, financial mismanagement, theft, and corruption. You cannot, because it's embedded in your DNA. You set an example and create a culture of corruption and self-enrichment. Cease. Talking about corruption.
No, honourable member, let's correct that. That is unparliamentary language. Please take your seat, honourable member. That language will not be allowed in this House. According to our standing rules and orders, it is unparliamentary. The word cronies as well is also a word that is unparliamentary as it is accusatory. And I'm going to request the honourable member to withdraw the word cronies, and I'm going to ask the honourable member to withdraw the word, the cis word he used.
I withdraw it, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. You may proceed.
But talking about corruption, in East China, in this week, recently, 2 corrupt government officials were executed for accepting bribes from government contracts. Honourable Premier, through you, Speaker, I know that you are implicated in scandals. Just be careful when you travel to China again. The problem, Honourable Speaker, in the Free State is that we have bank robbers in charge of the bank. It cannot be.
Speaker.
You cannot do that. It has become...
Honourable member, will you take your seat? The Honourable Premier, you recognize.
Is he willing to take a question?
Will you take a question, Honourable member?
No, Chair, I know we're not in the Western Cape. I'm not going to
You
take
are
another.
responding. You may take your seat, Honourable Premier.
We'll meet outside.
It has become customary. We can meet anywhere you want to meet. I don't care. The facts are facts. You can't govern. Customary for members, and you are implicated, so it is what it is. Members of the ANC to shelter each other from these hard truths. They guard each other because the minute the people learn the truth, it will be the end of the ANC. I want to compliment some of the ANC members who have, during these debates, shown discomfort with the actions of their colleagues in the ANC. Honourable Khuabani, you said it. And Honourable Khuabani, let me tell you, it is called cognitive dissonance. You're right. According to the dictionary, it's a psychological disorder when an individual experiences discomfort when their actions do not align with their beliefs. So what you are doing as the ANC doesn't align with this freedom organization that you started off. You are corrupt and you feel uncomfortable. Cognitive dissonance, that's it. You are AKA ANC. Honourable Speaker, there's a book, please go and read it, Economics for Beginners and Dummies. You can learn a lot from this. You can actually listen to it. You don't even have to read it. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable
Correct
Van Vuuren.
diagnosis for DA. That's exactly what we are suffering from. I agree, and the fish is swimming.
Is it true, Nale, honourable member, as a maintaining the question in Lelenkwa?
Honourable members, I'm going to ask you for the last time to please uphold the quorum of the sitting. I'll now allow Honourable Manje. Oh, before that, Honourable Chabalala, they are dealing with the matter of the gas heater behind you. I think the issue was the gas had run out, but they are fixing that issue. You may proceed, Honourable Manje.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Before we begin our conversation, maybe it is quite important that as we are expected to compare apples with apples, we should equally remind Honourable Van Vuuren, through you, Honourable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, that maybe we should compare Camps Bay with Guguletu, Kailicha, Nyanga, before we even speak about any other issues. Above everything else, Honourable Speaker, as we compare these apples with apples, we must also remind Honourable Van Vuuren that in the last financial year, the same Western Cape returned about 200 million back to the fiscus, while the Free State Province gained additional 50 million for human settlements. Honourable Speaker, let me take this particular opportunity to reaffirm that despite challenges, the ANC remains the leading force for change in the country and carries the hopes and aspirations of our people to realize objectives of the National Democratic Revolution. Fact of the matter is that the ANC inherited an economy that is in long-term decline and was massively distorted by apartheid regime, political and economic policies. Although South Africa's per capita gross domestic product ranked it as a middle income country, living standards for the majority resemble those of such poor countries. Levels of malnutrition, homelessness, illiteracy in South Africa were closer to those of less developed countries. Massive inequality in income, wealth, skills characterized the economy. These inequalities existed between race groups, between men and women, between rural and urban areas. A range of studies shows that South Africa ranked amongst the most unequal economies in the world. The black majority had effectively been excluded from economic ownership and control, fundamentally undermining black people's ability to culminate capital. The fundamental question that we must answer in the debate is whether or not the implementation of the key economic challenges or strategies in the past years have translated into a better life for all. Honorable Speaker, in answering this question, we must acknowledge that achievements that have been made, as well as stark economic realities that still confront our people. Honorable Speaker, significant progress has been made in the expanding access of employment, empowerment, and other economic opportunities. Social protection has also expanded, and the number of people with access to basic services has increased. Despite all these challenges, the task of ensuring that previously disadvantaged groups share in the province's wealth is far from complete. The unequal contribution of wealth and income is still largely characterized by the racial and gender demographics of our colonial past, and this is why our programs of economic transformation continues to be an important one in the context of today's debate. Social and economic transformation requires an economy that is growing, creating employment, reducing poverty, closing the inequality gap, and economy in which new businesses are able to emerge and flourish, where black people, women, young people are able to advance at all levels and in all areas of the economy, and where township and rural economies are able to grow. Honorable Speaker, small, macro, and medium-sized enterprises, cooperatives, as well as township and village economies have a role to play as means of fostering economic development. Honorable Speaker, government must support and facilitate the participation of communities in the township and rural areas. To this end, we are pleased with what the department has achieved in supporting MSMEs through financial and non-financial support. Together with all its entities, the department must continue to implement preferential procurement policy that advances people who have been disadvantaged by unfair discrimination, while ensuring that public bodies contract for goods and services in a manner that is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. Honorable Speaker, the department, or the implementation rather, of the procurement targets for women-owned, youth-managed businesses, businesses owned by people living with disability, and businesses owned by military veterans should continue to find expression. The elimination of all barriers to entry and growth are important areas of focus in addressing inequality. The growth process must not just ensure that the poor benefit from growth, but also that there is increased participation of the poor and historically disadvantaged individuals in the process of growth. Honorable Speaker, we are happy with the interventions to reduce barriers to entry and transform the highly concentrated nature of many economic sectors in the province. To this end, we are pleased with the development of Free State Trade Portal, which will easily link local entrepreneurs with international markets. Honorable Speaker, there's an urgent need to arrest the decline in our manufacturing base, rejuvenate more inclusive industrialization, focusing more on labor-intensive industries. We are pleased with the investment made in the refurbishment of the factories in Putarichaba, Tabanchu, and Butabelo. Honorable Speaker, the department should continue to provide incentives to support manufacturing, including other incentives to promote emerging high-growth sectors such as tourism, which has an extensive value chain and labor absorption capacity that places it at the center of the economic growth and employment growth, creation, and strategies. Honorable Speaker, we applaud the effort being directed towards tourism, enabling infrastructure as part of the development of the supply chain or supply-side capabilities to accelerate sector transformation and diversification of products offering. Honorable Speaker, the regulations and licensing of various travel, tourism, hospitality operations, as well as tour operators, timeshares, gambling and liquor license should be used as a lever to drive investment, development, and transformation of our tourism. Honorable Speaker, the department's vision for tourism in the province is to see tourism spending increased amount of 7.09% to 10% of the GDP over the next 5 years. To achieve this goal, the department concluded the tourism strategy 2020 to 2030, which identifies key areas to grow the tourism sector, namely collaborations, product development, skills development, improved security. Honorable Speaker, the department is already involved in tourism development initiatives such as Maloti, Drakensberg Transfrontiers Program, Lake Qarib Initiative, market access improvement, as well as working with traditional leadership to develop and promote rural tourism. Honorable Speaker, like Honorable MEC has indicated, the motto that says Free State is a place to go to, not to go through, encourages investors and visitors to spend more time in the Free State to explore the nature beauty of our province. When we speak about issues of environment, Honorable Van Vuuren, as well as Honorable Klute, through you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Constitution of the Republic confirms everyone's right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being. This must be achieved through legislative measures that prevent pollution and ecological degradation, as well as promote conservation. The increasing non-compliance with National Environment Management Act of 1998, Act number 107, is worrying, and the department is increasing its monitoring and enforcement capacity to deal with these issues. Honorable Speaker, it is also commendable that the department will also start a process in the current financial year to develop a provincial state of the environment report, which will then guide the department of areas of intervention in the medium to long term. Honorable Speaker, the recent damaging floods in many parts of our country are a stark reminder that climate change is real. The department must continue to work with various stakeholders to implement the action identified in the Free State Climate Change Adaptation and Implementation Strategy. Honorable Speaker, as part of the mitigating the harmful effects of climate change, the Executive Council has taken a resolution for the province to actively implement the National Greening Strategy of 2006. To this end, the province has developed a framework for the implementation of the Free State 1 million tree program with a target of planting about 20,000 trees in this financial year. And the MEC has spoken to this particular aspect. Honorable Van Vuuren and Honorable Klute, through you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we are happy that the Vaal Triangle area, which includes Metsimaholo, has been declared as a national priority in terms of Section 18, subsection 1 of the National Environmental Management Air Quality Act of 2004, namely Vaal Triangle Ash Priority Area. This step will ensure that air quality is not only monitored in the area, but practical steps are taken towards improving. Biodiversity, Honorable Speaker, and conservation is a key criteria in the aspiration principles and criteria for sustainable bioeconomy. It is thus imperative that biodiversity protection and conservation be prioritized. And in this regard, we continue with our effort to protecting our flora and fauna, and will strengthen the measures to prevent illicit trade in protected species. The department is commended for prioritizing the development and supporting the entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs who participate in the biodiversity economy. This is considered with the commitments at G20 Working Group Bioeconomy hosted by the University of the Free State this year. Honorable Speaker, as we conclude, we must continue to define how best to ensure that everything that we do in as far as economy benefits our people. In the long run, we can only end poverty through process of shared economic growth, in which the growth path is reshaped to benefit all people by creating economic opportunities on a mass scale. Economic growth sits at the center of everything that can make our province better. With growth, poverty decreases. With productive sector growth, job creation occurs. When people have jobs, they can pay for their schooling, pay rates and taxes. It is non-negotiable starting point for a better province and a sustainable future. The African National Congress supports the budget vote as presented by MEC Makume, who is the MEC for Economic Small Business Development, Tourism, and Environmental Affairs. However, before I sit down, Honorable Speaker, it's also important to remind Honorable Klute that this particular research that we make, it must be, I hope it can be quantified. However, the employment in the Free State increased quarterly comparing to Q1 of 2025 with Q4 of 2024. And the annual comparing of Q1 of 2025 with Q1 of 2024 means that more than 12,000 people have been employed in this particular quarter. The province was one of the 3 provinces that recorded employment increases quarterly to quarter, with the highest increase, yes, of course, with the Western Cape, followed by Gauteng and the Free State. Now, this information that you got about us decreasing, I wonder where you got it. Honorable Chabalala, Maluta Pufun Special Economic Zone has an investment pipeline of 16 investors with an estimated total investment value of 3.26 billion. And it is expected to create approximately 1.234 thousand jobs during the 2025-2026 mid-term period. The SCZ remains a catalytic and viable approach for economic growth and the acceleration of job creation through manufacturing and commercial activities that are promoted or that are meant to promote and conducted on preferential taxation terms supported by good infrastructure development. Honorable Speaker, it is very important for all of us as we come to this particular podium that we stick to what we are supposed to be talking about and stop this thing of comparing Free State to the Western Cape. You, members of this particular legislature, they were voted by the people of the Free State. It is important as we come to this particular podium, we are able to indicate where are the challenges and how best can we make the Free State work, but rather pointing fingers at where we're not supposed to be pointing fingers. Honorable Speaker, without wasting more time, I want to take this opportunity really to congratulate Ntate Makume as he presented the budget on behalf of the Department of Economic, Small Businesses, Development, Tourism, Environmental Affairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Honorable MEC may now respond to the debate.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think I need to make some emphasis on the issues that have been raised by both Mayor Manje and because it's very much difficult to come to a podium and begin to be dishonest. At all material times, when we come here, we have to be truthful. Maybe if in future colleagues can come here and say, white Western Cape. Because I can just ask a simple thing that Google, we all have smartphones here. Just Google Kailisha, Google Langa, Google Nyanga, and check the picture of what you call the Western Cape at work. Because it can't be that you define Western Cape only on the basis of the white suburbs. It can't be, it's wrong. It is wrong because we are building one country. It is wrong because we are building a non-racial society. It is wrong because also that government, it must be a government that is based on the will of the people, black and white. And this is not what is happening. So, the shortcomings of our government, they need to be really raised, but as an opposition that is responsible, bring alternatives on the table. Don't compare us with a racist government that is not even interested to develop black people. We are prepared to develop both black and white people of the Free State. And that is why we are bringing these things on the table. So that's the first thing. The second thing, Honorable Klute asked a question. What happens to the investments that colleagues or the department has been making commitments about? Let me first explain that after every investment summit, it does not mean that the following day companies will pop out. There are other processes that needs to be attended to. One of them is regulation. Number two, it's issue of municipalities availing land where investors have pointed out to go and invest. So these are simple issues that colleagues must understand. But other than that, we are aware that in Virginia, we've already started with a solar plant. You always see it when you pass across Virginia. So to come here and ask, where are these things? I don't know why are we doing it for ourselves. We are aware that I was in one of the portfolio committee when the Truth is a member. I was asked a question, what happens to the Kronstadt project? We explained that we are still attending to issues of regulations because they can't just plant. And they also involve issues that have to involve the Department of Energy and Minerals. You are also aware that there's another one which Siriti is busy with DRME in relation to regulations. So the projects have already started. There are those that are on the licensing phase, but there are those that are on the phase one. We are aware that the helium mine case is also on the process. It was part of the investment commitment. It is there. It's working. Money has been put in place to get those things. So let us not come here, demonstrate our ignorance to the people of the Free State. It's very much important that we do that. But let me emphasize other things that I think they're important for the people of the Free State. Number one is on the registration of spaza shops. That a decision has been taken that all spaza shops need to be registered. What we have given you here are statistics that we've got 11,000 registered. In the 11,500 are foreign nationals. So the question has always been, what are you doing now? What we are trying to do now is to isolate particularly irregular registration, where our people have actually made themselves sacrifices and go and register on behalf of foreign nationals. And this, they've done it because of the ignorance again. Because these registrations are going to be linked with SARS, they are going to be linked with SASA, they are also going to be linked with all other departments that are assisting people. I was making one example to other community members that they must be aware that in future when they are being taxed, they are going to be taxed with business tax or companies tax because they have claimed that they've got such shops. But those shops are not owned by themselves, are owned by foreign nationals. So these are some of the dangers. The second one is that those spaza shops, if you happen to be the owner of the property, for instance, these ones who are giving out RDPs and their houses and the garages, they must be aware that if it happens that a business is being registered to be a salon, and we arrive and we found that there's another activity that is taking place, the owner or the business owner and the owner of the property will have to be reported at the police station. So it's not going to be sure, Ori, it's not my business, it's only my property. Because every time when people rise against illegal activities, people stand up and say, no, don't ban my property. So we are saying all property owners must also be responsible to ensure those things. So it's very much important. We're also encouraging the issue of recycling, the issue of reuse campaign, because we want to clean the environment. So we're very much aware that key to economic development is also environment. But there are these other things that you don't talk about them. There's a strategic approach that you have taken as the opposition to disinvest campaign our country. Every time you go to the public, you discourage people not to invest in our country. Because you raise these things as if investment must not help us to resolve those things. Actually, investment must help us to deal with issue of infrastructure development. Investment must help us to deal with unemployment. We can't stand here in this program and say, we don't have a clean environment, therefore don't invest. We need those investments so that we are able to make it work for us and for our people. Our people can get jobs and then we can clean our environment. So we are very much serious about it. On the issue of the tourism, there are so many hidden gems in the Free State that have not been marketed properly. And part of the entity, the FSPLGT, is to ensure that they market those hidden gems so that we attract investment, and then with that investment, we put it into the infrastructure, we resolve some of the problems. And some of the problems are very much historical. It's a well-known thing that the infrastructure in the Free State is aging, and not only in the Free State, all over the country. So to renew it, you need more money. And how do you get money? Attract investment, get the private sector to work with you. And this is what you are disinvesting. Every time you shout at investors to say, the Free State province is corrupt. If people are corrupt, we've made this point many times, go to the nearest law enforcement, open the case, let the law take its course. We can't every time complain about people who are corrupt but not taking an action. Let's start now to take action, report those cases, because if you just come here and talk about corrupt activities, you are equally compliant to that thing because you're not doing anything when you've got other alternatives to can report this thing. So I'm calling upon all of you. Free State is our province. If you want Free State to be like any other province in the country, we have to, in our mind, work with the Free State in our mind. Let's not have any other province in our mind. The problem we are doing, we're creating a picture as if the other provinces or other provinces that are better than yours. The question is, what are you doing to ensure that we improve the Free State society, the Free State community, and the Free State as a region or as a province? So we're absolutely doing nothing because all what we want to do is to begin to say, let's shame it, let's not do this thing, but who are suffering? It's our own people. So I'm calling upon all of you from the bottom of my heart and your consciousness. Let's start now to work together and build a better Free State. Build a Free State with an economic that is inclusive of all those that who were disadvantaged in the past. I want to see all of you here, opposition, going there at the gate, starting to support the ones that are already there. Don't ask us, what are we doing with job creation and what? I'm already saying contribute to job creation by investing in those SMMEs that are at the gate today. All what you want you to do is to ensure that today you put a bread on the table of individuals who have taken upon themselves, who don't want anything except an opportunity and access to opportunities. And they've also wanted the market. So we have created them a market for you to go and spend so that we build a better Free State. So by those few words, I want to thank everyone who contributed positively to the budget. Thank you.
The reply by the MEC, honorable members. The reply by the MEC concludes the business of the House today. Before the House adjourns, I wish to make the following announcements. That honorable members and guests should remain standing as the Sergeant at Arms and the Honorable Deputy Speaker and the Acting Secretary leave the House. That guests should remain at their allocated seats while honorable members leave the House. The House shall now adjourn until Tuesday, the 17th of June, 2025 at 9 o'clock at the 4th Ratsal. And the business of the House shall be the consideration of the following budget votes. Vote 10, community safety, roads and transport. Vote 9, public works and infrastructure. There will also be a debate on Youth Month under the theme, Skills for the Changing World, Empowering Youth for Meaningful Economic Participation. The House is adjourned.